Mindfields, Indy Wrestler Report number 44, Tony Morales with Bob the Animal Anger. Hell yeah, baby.
Mindfielders, Puppet Army. We begin our show yet again with the Suicide Puppets' latest hit single, Hate You Right Back, off their up-and-coming album, Tales of Living and Dying on Slaughter Ridge Road, dropping October 30th. Guys, I'm loving this record. I may or may not have already heard the whole goddamn thing, but whatever I have heard, I'm absolutely in love with. Stay tuned for Veritas Suicides' Psycho of the Week, immediately preceding this new song. Ladies, gentlemen, Mindfielders, Puppet Army, I give you my close personal friends, the Suicide Puppets.
One step closer, got one foot in the grave. Hate is my friend and it's better that way. Listening closely to the voices might say they think you're all fucked and today's the day. Like you all, I'm tired to kill. Closer to death when a certain goes kill. I see you're still bleeding. 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 Look in your eyes, I can see my face. Twisted out thoughts, and I'm loving this place. If getting death is how it all began. Bet your own ass will never happen again. Like you all, I'm tired to kill. Closer to death than a sudden goes kill. Take a step forward, I'll hate you right back. Don't believe all the things they say about me. If you take a step forward, I'll hate you right back. My scars are real and never see me bleed. If you take a step forward, I'll hate you right back. Don't believe all the things they say about me. If you take a step forward, I'll hate you right back. My scars are real, you never see me bleed.
Gruesome discovery in police yesterday found dismembered human body parts stuffed in a suitcase in a popular neighborhood. They quickly called in a medical examiner to confirm that those remains were indeed human.
In a bizarre murder case out of Pennsylvania and telling investigators where to find the bodies are facing murder charges.
Instead, he shot and killed that man and then buried the body on his family's property.
Welcome Mindfielders and Puppet Army to Veritas Suicides Psycho of the Week. I'm Veritas Suicide, drummer of the band Suicide Puppets. If you haven't heard by now, we have an album being released on October 30th through Unable Records. Go to unablerecords.com, click on the photo of our album, and pre-purchase your copy today. This week's Psycho is none other than David Parker Ray, the notorious toy box killer. Hailing from a small town known as Elephant Butte, just outside of Truth of Consequences, New Mexico. Another classic case of a man who was bullied and ignored by other kids, as well as having an abusive alcoholic father. Ray was introduced to sadomasochist pornography at a young age. His trouble speaking to women only fueled his bondage fantasies that eventually blossomed into his penchant for kidnapping, torturing, and eventually murdering his victims. His toy box was actually a small travel trailer that sat on his property. Inside he had every instrument of torture he could think of that goes way beyond the simple imagination of the 50 Shades of Grey crowd's ideas of whips and chains. Inside was a modified dental chair with stirrups. A mirror was installed in the ceiling as well as many video cameras so his victims could watch above or on the video monitors that were also present. The filthy details of his crimes were thankfully let out of the public eyes. True crime books would detail things such as reporters arriving to the scene of the crime to find the most hardened cops running out of the toy box to vomit after what they just watched on Parker's VCR. Videotapes found would show Ray inserting cattle prods into victims and smoke pouring out. His accomplices included his daughter that he had an incestuous relationship with, as well as her husband. Ray and his girlfriend and other accomplices would find women at bars around Truth of Consequences that looked lonely, easy targets. Those who would frequent bars for solace from their abusive husbands or recent divorcees, prostitutes, you get the picture. They would drug and abduct them and take them to the toy box. They would dispose of their victims by wrapping them in tarps and weighing them down with concrete blocks and brick and dumping them into the nearby Elephant Butte Lake. Still to this day, where the lake dries enough, they still dredge for bodies. Eventually, one of the victims managed to get away and fled to a nearby neighbor's house that sheltered her and called the cops. Ray and his accomplices were quickly apprehended. A short trial later, Ray was sentenced to life in prison, where he would eventually die. It must be noted that Ray apparently wrote a book in prison about how to properly stalk, torture, and kill victims. It's one of those urban legends that the book exists in an FBI vault, never to see the light of day. These are the reasons why I have chosen David Parker Ray as your Psycho of the Week. I'm Veritas Suicide, and this has been Psycho of the Week.
Mindfielders, as usual, I got a surprise for you. A little mini interview with Andy Belanger. He's also known as Bob the Animal Anger, wrestling for the International Wrestling Syndicate in Canada. Yeah, he's a wrestler too. Comic artist, writer, mother trucker, wrestlers in space, big titties, murders. If you don't remember him, or if it rings a little bit of a bell, also the co-creator and artist of Southern Cross and Image comic books. And artist for one of the best comics I've read in quite a long time, Pound for Pound off TKO comic books. He's got a KickStarter coming up promoting a badass new comic book, and we want to tell you all about it. And you're going to have to hear about it for the next, 22 days, because that Kickstarter is running hot. We've got lots of different types of packages you can get for the comic book itself. You want to get original art. You want to pay $40,000 for them to show up and beat you up at your own house. It's on there, guys. Mindfielders, fans of Bob the Animal Anger. I give you Andy Belanger.
Yeah, are you? Have you been recording the whole time, or are we recording now?
I just started recording. Don't worry.
All right, cool. Yeah, Mother Trucker. So Mother Trucker is like 5 years in the making. I became a pro wrestler to make Mother Trucker. And I mean, when I say pro wrestler, I get paid to wrestle, but I'm an indie wrestler in the Montreal scene for IWS, XCW. Been on C4 in Ottawa. I do some shows in Toronto as well. So basically, I was living in Toronto and never hearing about wrestling. I think the thing was Toronto had like an insurance problem in the 2000s, so they couldn't. I just wasn't seeing shows. Like I lived downtown, and there was never flyers. No one I knew went to shows. Like I just didn't know that indie wrestling was a thing at all.
Getting that license to wrestle or to have a show, like a combat thing, is next to impossible in some places.
Yeah, so I think that's what they had. And then in 2012, I moved to Montreal, and I was doing video game stuff for Blood Dragon. I did the trailer animation for Blood Dragon, and my buddies who worked on that with me took me out to 2 live shows, Battle War and IWS. Battle War is kind of like the one you were throwing in a metal club. Yeah. And then IWS was getting like these kind of like crazy old school looking theaters, you know, where you see like Phantom of the Opera and shit. Yeah. And yeah, it was really cool. And I started going to them and just like obsessed, like my entire love of wrestling. I was obsessed with wrestling up until I was 18. You know, Attitude Era, and before that, the 80s, and Hogan, Macho, Undertaker, you know, Bret Hart. Like, I was just obsessed my whole life, as much as I was with comics. But I just, once I went into fine art, I just wasn't, like, aware it was going on. So I kind of missed the Cena era. So when I went to those live shows, I just got hooked. We'd go get loaded, yell at wrestlers. Yeah. It's the most, like, going to an indie wrestling show is one of the most fun things you can do. It is as a fan. It is, if you like to chirp and you like to get loud, it's the funniest. And then I started meeting the wrestlers, and I started doing like posters for them, and like event posters and T-shirts, and
I've been doing T-shirts. I'm doing
all that kind of stuff. And Shane Hawk, who was on Chikara, right? He and I became friends, and he got me to come out to the IWS dojo, which was like their training facility. And at the training facility, I started getting into it, and then I was doing Southern Cross, so I took some time off, came back, and I've been there ever since for 5 years. And the idea was I wanted to get into wrestling to make this crazy wrestling comic, which eventually became Mother Trucker.
And but by that you mean you wanted to get so ingrained in the culture that what you wrote was true blue, and no one could be like, oh, he made this up. He don't know what the hell he's talking about.
I don't like writing about stuff that I don't know or haven't experienced. Yeah, you can't. Even though I write the most far out sci-fi crazy stuff, the stuff that happens in the comics, like I've kind of been through. So I wanted to understand, you know, the language, which is all kind of based on Carney language. It's like a metamorphosis of that, and it keeps changing. Like I'm even hearing like kind of like new stuff where, you know, there's little code words for things like, you know, what's a good code word that I can think of? Like shoot, work, kayfabe. Yeah, sure, shoot, work, all that stuff. The classic stuff. Yeah. Yeah, you know, like, you know, giving him the office, like all kinds of, you know, I'm G'ing up, like just stuff like real like code-based stuff that's in wrestling that is kind of fun. I wanted to know all of it. It's the best. And now I have so many experiences actually being in a match. Like I've done hundreds of matches, so like I know what it feels like being in the ring. You know, the guy who did Berserk, that comic, he's got another one. A wrestling one that's amazing. I'm forgetting the title. I just got it too. What's it called again? Anyway, he has a spot where a guy gives like a suplex to the other guy, and he does this one great panel of of a foot stomping. And I'm like, yeah, that's how
it.
you know to go, right? That
That's awesome.
foot stomp is how you know to go. So I was like, this comic is awesome. Like, this guy knows wrestling. Like, it's really cool. I want it to feel like that. Like, while the wrestling is going down, like, I want that experience in the drawings.
I can't wait, man. I actually got paid today. I'm going to throw down on the KickStarter, which, when does the Kickstarter end?
Oh, man, in like 30 days.
Yeah, we got time. That's why we're going to be running you on every podcast until it's
awesome.
over, man.
Yeah, like, we came out of the gate like a rocket. It was amazing. But what Mother Trucker is she's like a space trucking ass stomp and wrestle goddess, and she's on a quest to find her long lost kid and become the greatest champion of Truck Off, which is the WrestleMania of the Starways.
That's awesome.
So Truck Off is like the way the universe works is all the truckers are wrestlers. So they're all like gigantic. They're all on roids, but the roids are in the meat. So all the meat is called burgeroids.
This is wonderful.
So when they eat burgers, it's like they're doing steroids. So they're all like these giant He-Man looking guys. And this whole project is like my He-Man. And anyway, she kind of like goes through this like gigantic accident, and you can see the pages in the Kickstarter where
you put
it's
a lot
like
of them in.
It's like WrestleMania 3. It's Truck Off 3, and Big Rig is going against Gigantruck, and he gives them like this slam called the Stairway to Heaven into the Highway to Hell.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
it like blows up Neo Houston, and she kind of comes out of it rebuilt by it turns out, like in the first one, it turns out she's rebuilt by the bad guy, my Vince McMahon of the universe, and
Beautiful.
he's rebuilding her because the two champions that are in this universe, which is Ricky Heat, who is like a cross between The Rock and Ric Flair.
Okay.
And he's a bit of an older champion, and the new champion, Phil Injection, who's like my Shawn Michaels. They're at war, but like the Vince McMahon character can't like get them under wraps, so he creates Mother Trucker, who is the wife of Big Rig, my like Hulk Hogan Macho Man, to like take them out.
That's wonderful.
And yeah, so it's super cool. So the whole first like 6 issues is like there's a match in every issue, so each issue feels like a standalone, but it's her like trials and tribulations into the Truck Off. And what Truck Off is in the universe, if you have, let's say, Walmart's shipping contract, and my comic is called Bridgemart. If you have the Bridgemart contracts to truck, you have a belt. So all the contracts are belts.
All right.
Right? And there's like highlighters
awesome.
or sticks, and like there's all kinds of like different products that people are shipping.
You're
and
putting
people
the business
fight
in
over
it.
the contracts. I'll roll up on you on my truck and challenge you for your belt, your contract, and then the back of our trucks transform into rings, and we get it on. And as soon as a truck starts to transform, just like fans from the space highways just like start flying in.
Start
We're
showing
like,
up.
holy shit! And it's like the biggest TV show like going is like being on the space highways, and like a fight breaks out, and just like everyone goes, and announcers show up on like a thing.
Conveniently
and, like,
plays refs.
Yeah, there's refs, everything. Just everything shows up almost instantaneously, and like people are freaking out. And if I beat you, I get your contract and your truck.
And the truck?
Yeah, so you can't come after me after, right? You can't immediately come back after me because you have no truck, and you have to have a truck to be a trucker, right?
So you're done.
So
you're just
certain
done.
certain truckers have like fleets, you know what I mean? And they get like Phil Injection has like his DX. So there's like a China character and like a Triple H character. His name's Tracy.
Tracy. All right, I get it.
It's like cunning Chris Cutter. Yeah, and he's like my Triple H, and yeah, so it's super crazy. So it's all about her like getting into Truck Off, and Truck Off is like the WrestleMania of the Starways, and it's basically a race around the rings of Saturn while you fight. So yeah, all for like the biggest contracts. So it's pretty wild. That's Mother Trucker, and we launched on Monday, and we had everything I do is because I'm in Canada, I had to do everything in Canadian. You can't like change regions in Kickstarter, so it was like 9,000 Canadian, which I think is like 6,700 American.
Okay.
And we hit that in like 3 hours.
I noticed that. When I pulled it up in the morning, it was like you were already up to like $6 or $9 grand already. I can't remember. It was like, okay, Andy's got some backing. Let's talk about why you picked Kickstarter, because guys like us are right now, people are fucking pigeonholing us. And you've got a crazy idea that if someone took this out of context, they'd want to cancel you or bury your idea. But with Kickstarter, it's fuck you. I can do
That's just it. Like I've actually pitched Kickstarter to, I've actually pitched Mother Trucker to, I pitched it to Black Label at DC. Mm-hmm. I pitched it to Image 3 times. I had a company in BC that was going to give me something like crazy, like 90 grand to do it for a new digital platform that they were going to do.
Wow.
And my lawyer and I pulled out of the deal so that we could keep the rights. Like,
yeah,
that was a hard day. That was a hard 2 hours of my lawyer being like, no, you can't do it. No, you can't do it. And I'm like, $90,000.
Right.
Like, whoa, what? And she's like, no, you won't own any of it.
Especially if they make $1 million off of it and you're sitting there with 90,000 like a chump.
Yeah, and this is my baby, my big idea. I don't want people to own it. So when I started to make it, I was like, I know Image would publish it now, like seeing it. But I don't think I want anyone else to have it because I'm looking at like the way comics are going. It feels like everything's crumbling and they're making comics, they're after the YA market, which I understand. It's totally cool.
It's business.
It's just big like business. They're after that smile money.
Yep.
But it's not the comics that I make, and it's not the comics I read when I was a kid. Like when I hit 13, I was done with Marvel and DC, and I was reading Heavy Metal magazine. I was reading Manera and Serpieri and all that stuff all through my teens.
Chaos.
Yeah, Chaos Comics. Polito, who is rocking.
He's a god.
Right. Polito rocks. Actually, what's really funny is I had some of my best portfolio reviews with Polito when I was coming up, and I was like 19, 20.
He was the only one I marked out for at Comic-Con in Denver. Everyone else was like, hey, cool, nice to meet you. It was exciting to meet them, but Polito, I was like, I need you to sign this.
How dope was Evil Ernie and like Lady Death? Just the dopest. I was so into that, like when it was coming out, like I bought all that stuff. And Tony Moore at the time, he had that book, Battle Pope.
I remember Battle Pope.
It was before Walking Dead. He did Battle Pope, and that book was freaking awesome.
Man.
And I was into all that stuff. Chaos Comics was super, super dope. So that's what I'm getting back to. I'm getting back to those comics. And Carrie Nord and I are starting a company called Lethal Comics. And the tagline is, it's a new wave of old school. And we're going to make the comics we want to make without having to, appease a publisher.
Or say you're
and I'm just
sorry.
Sick of trying to I'm sick of trying to make something for a publisher that they think is attractive enough to sell. I think it's destroying creativity because there's so much cool stuff that could be made, and Kickstarter is really where it's at when it comes to like unabridged creativity, no holding back.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the freedom of hanging out with your best pals in a tattoo shop. It's just dope conversations, the right people, everyone's in the right frame of mind, respectful. You're listening to hardcore music, whether it's hardcore rap, hardcore metal. These guys are making good money on pure, unadulterated, whatever the fuck I want to do art. And it's the best thing in the world to me, man. And I'm glad that you're doing this. And
That's what this is. This is like, I'm going to do what the fuck I want art. And I mean, I've wanted to do this for 4 or 5 years. Like, I became a wrestler to make this. And then COVID actually, what happened was like, I haven't gotten a real meaty comic gig in 2 years. Like, I got a really great one with James Tinian recently in his horror anthology, which was like, 8-10 pages. But I haven't gotten like a series or like one shot or anything. And I feel like my art was at its peak. Like, I was peaking as far as like,
that's scary,
my art. And I was like, how am I not getting gigs? It's crazy. I was sending samples every single month to Marvel and DC. I know all the editors, and just, ghosting, crickets. I was scheduled to do Warren Ellis's next book at Image, and he kind of like hummed and hawed during the time when I needed to get a gig.
Right.
And the musical chair thing happened, and he quit right before Christmas.
I thought he got canceled right before
And my
Christmas.
family and I were broke.
Ouch.
And I was like, dude, like, I've been waiting for you to write this thing. Like, we're scheduled to do it. And it didn't happen. So, you know, I was totally broke without a gig. No one's hiring in December.
Right.
Right? So what happened was I got this mega high-profile gig in video games, animating. And it was 3 months of, like, the hardest work I've ever done. It was, like, but it paid my yearly salary in, like, 3 months almost.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was 18 hours, 20 hours a day for 3 months straight, every single day. My wife came in and she was painting because she worked in video games. My mom had to come in and look after our kid. But when it was over, I was burnt out. But we had money for the year. And then I sold Southern Cross to NBC, Universal, to make an anime. And we got paid from that. So it was like my wife is, you know, I'm sending out sample, just giving her. And my wife is like, and I'm really disappointed, getting really depressed. I can't wrestle, right? Wrestling, like everything, we weren't allowed to leave our houses. Wrestling's gone.
We lived for that shit.
What?
I said we lived for that shit, man. That was the worst part of it.
So it was like I was getting really depressed. And and then my wife is just like, you know, it's now. Like, we have the money. You have to make Mother Trucker now. So she started, like, pushing me, and I started drawing it. And I had written it when we lived in Italy in 2019. I wrote the script, and I went over it again with my friends here. And it was time. And I started drawing my ass off on it and sending stuff around to my pals to get, like, you know, notes on scripts and art. And it was just, like, all coming, like, the universe was just like, you're supposed to do this. And then wrestling started in June, and I went to my first wrestling class again. And right at that class, Speedball came up and he's like, "You want to do privates?" And I was like, hell yeah, I want to do privates. Like, private with Mike Bailey every single week for, like, hours.
Like,
oh my god!
One-on-one
so my
training.
wrestling game has gone like
Exploded.
When Animal comes back, Animal can wrestle. I mean, I'm training with, like, Channing Decker and Danhausen and, like,
keep going.
It's nuts. Like, I don't know if you know a lot of the other indie guys up here. But yeah, a lot of the dudes were just in class together on Wednesdays. It's private class, and we're jamming. And, like,
you're gonna have
he's teaching me Japanese wrestling, so it's no longer about 5 moves of doom. It's about
strong style,
you
baby.
know, yeah, strong style, but mixed with, like, hard sequences, right? So, you know, my shine, my comeback and fire, my finish. You know, each one of those things, I understand the philosophy and science behind it, and, like, I have a sequence, and we've done it maybe, you know, 1 to 3 times every week since gym. I do the same thing, and it's just getting, like, so nice and perfect and smooth and dope looking. And now when I come into a match, I'm just like, okay, shine, this is what I do. Bop, 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 bop.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad that,
you know, like, if I'm gonna do my comeback and fire, right? You choke me to the ropes, ref break, I grab your arm, bite, kick, throw me to the ropes, you go for a whip, I weave, angle slam, separation, up, we go for line, we both lock arms, I get your hand, strike, judo throw, up, I never let go of your hand, it's like the Hulk holding Loki, I give you a monkey flip, up, I do the escalera, up the top rope, down, with the, and
dude,
then
you're making me happy,
go
man.
For a line, I get
you're making me happy.
DT, boom, I go for my finisher, oh, you get over on me, and we're into our first fall seat. Like, that's, you know, it's like I have all these sequences, like, I think there's maybe 6-7 sequences memorized cold, so when I come into a match, it's just that.
You can help it out. You can
instead
shine,
of before,
and you
it's
can
like,
shine someone up.
Maybe I'll do this until we do this, right? So, and what's funny is the titles of Mother Trucker are all based on the wrestling match. So the first comic is called The Shine, the second one is The Cutoff, the third one is The Heat. You know, the one after that is the comeback and the fall. They're all named after, like, the mechanics of a wrestling match.
Man, I dig that, because the last time I read a comic book that knew kind of what they were talking about wrestling was Ringside, and that one came out so It was decent. I wasn't a big fan of the art. The writing was phenomenal, but like it came out so sporadically, and like I'd have to, like, every time I'd read it, I'd get a new one. I had to go back 4 issues to remember what the hell was going on. And it sounds like you've got everything in the can for Mother Trucker and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, six issues are written of it. I have the outline and some of the issues written for the 6 to 12. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is I wrote 6 to 12 first because it was about, the whole comic was meant to be about Big Rig and his daughter. And that was the whole comic. And then I came in Italy. I think I was looking at so much like Italian comics, you know, like a lot of Manera and Druna and Cervieri and
those
all that stuff. I was like, I want to make it about, and I became really obsessed with like Charlotte Flair, right? Like Charlotte's match in like WrestleMania was my favorite match by far. Yeah, freaking Charlotte is the best. Like, God, I love Charlotte. She's freaking rad.
The women's wrestling has really stepped their game up. I'm really digging what they're doing in AEW. They're bringing in shit. My favorite indie wrestler here was Abaddon, and then now she's elite, man. Like, and she's scary as shit, man. Like, she's like, you remember how the Undertaker used to scare us? Now this one is like legit terrifying, and it everything's making me happy, dude. But let's talk more about Mother Trucker before we wrap up, man.
Yeah, man.
What are you hoping that you? Obviously, you want to get Mother Trucker over, and this is your own baby. You don't have to worry about anyone telling you what to do, and you're going to do it your way. But are you hoping that you're going to inspire other people and get like a more of a KickStarter trend going on for people to start doing their own comics, or is this something that you eventually are going to be like, hey, I wasn't trying to be an icon or anything like that. I just did what I got to do. Like, what do you want to do for the comic industry? After everything you've told me, that it's not really going down, but there's some struggles.
Yeah, I want people to do what they want to do, right? And like, stop squashing our voices. You know, stop making us try to make something that we think people will buy. Mm-hmm. You know, my goal whenever I make a comic book is to try and make something that I will buy. And I think Southern Cross was the first thing that I made that I thought I would buy myself.
I've got every issue, brother.
But, you know, you're always trying to like make someone happy, you know, and in a way that's unhealthy.
Yeah, because
you know what I mean.
You forget
instead of
yourself.
A way of being you. Right. You know what I mean. I wasn't getting. I think my entire 17-year career, I really wasn't getting to be myself. That was a scary thing before the Kickstarter launch. I was like, oh no, people are going to see how crazy I am.
Yeah. You're going to get canceled, baby.
Yeah. It's like Mankind just started making comics.
So this comic runs until the 30th? Oh, no, 30 days.
Yeah, the campaign runs until the 30th. And then we wait, like, I think it's like anywhere from 10 to 20 days for the money to kind of come in.
30th
and
of November, right?
Yeah, there's like time for like visa and all that stuff. And then I send it to the printer, and as soon as it comes back from the printer, we're working with a company called Chit Chat in Montreal. So they do all, like, I box everything up here. I've got a giant studio. Like
Let's see it.
Like, check out, this is the studio.
Oh,
it used to be a nightclub that was run by the Hells Angels. Oh, you can't see it, but there's like a bar back there, and some super gothic bathrooms that are really sweet. But yeah, we got this place for like a steal, and it's myself and Carl Kerschel, Terry Nord's coming back, Sweeney Boo's here, Wes Craig was here for a bit, who does Deadly Class, and in the other side is a video game studio called Cut to Bits, and they're like a upstart video game company, and it was all my pals from Ubisoft that. Basically, my connections at Ubisoft all quit and started their own video game company and invited me to share the studio. And it's like my man cave.
Oh, that's wonderful, man. That's wonderful. So how do we find the Kickstarter? Just what do we look for in Kickstarter.com?
Well, if you go on Kickstarter.com, all you need to do is go to Mother Trucker. We're on the front page for a bit. We're in Taking Off. We're in Fresh Favorites. We're all over it right now because it blew up so fast, so quick.
And there's a
So,
lot of there's a lot of incentives for you can just buy the single issues, you can buy trade paperback, or
well, we don't have a trade yet, but what you can buy is you can buy the single issue. You can buy alternate covers by Carl Kerschel, who did this sick like Capcom style cover. Carrie Nord gave me one with some boobs out. That's really funny of Mother Trucker giving everyone the finger with her top off. There's a complete cover set. There's original artwork I do. There's not safe for work artwork that I do in packs. There's like mystery boxes. There's one where you can be in the comic. There's one where I do you a painting. And then there's one that is like $10,000 where I will show up to your house with everything we offer, shoot promos, and have a match with you.
For $10,000?
No one's getting that. No one's getting it. It's $10,000. No one's getting it. But the reason we did it is we're going to shoot a bunch of promos this week and throughout the thing where it's like we're just going to keep making fun of that. Like,
dude,
I'm gonna show up.
you gotta find like some dopey looking guy that's a friend of yours, and you just show up at his house and just, you wanted it, we're here.
Yeah, we pretend someone spent $10,000. Yeah, just come over and like power bomb him in his kitchen table. Like,
yeah, exactly. Man, Andy, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming back on the show to talk about the comic. We're gonna run this every episode until the Kickstarter's over at the end of November.
Cool, brother. That's awesome.
We appreciate everything you do, and if you see Warren Ellis again, tell him why the hell he hasn't even finished fucking Fell, because
well, he didn't even get started on my thing that I was supposed to do for him, so I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, every time I bump into Ben at Comic Cons, I'm like, when is 10 coming out? Oh, it's coming out. Don't worry. And I'm like, you're just fucking with me, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, hey, man, it's been a pleasure, and thanks again. I'm going to release this tomorrow, and don't worry, I'm going to cut out everything from the beginning, and because what we were talking about wasn't recorded, but I started it like right when I was like, thanks, I was feeling crappy.
We were shooting, and I was bringing you up.
It was a straight shoot, and no one's going to hear it.
It was like I was putting some wind beneath your wings.
Yes, you were, man. I appreciate you, man. Much love, brother.
Thanks, man. Thank you, dude.
Peace. Guys, this is Indy Wrestling Report number 44. It is my pleasure to give you Mr. Tony Morales. Send him some love. He got cut open like a fucking fish a couple weeks ago. We got to make sure he comes back to that fucking squared circle we call heaven and life. Mindfields, issue 44. Indy Wrestling Report. Guys, welcome to Mindfields. Very proud to have Mr. Tony Morales here on the show today. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well, man. For being 3 weeks post surgery, I'm doing all right.
Yeah. So they gutted you.
Yeah.
Damn.
Cut me like a fish.
They cut you like a fish, man. How was it? Let's start from the recovery. Like, actually, let's just talk about wrestling for a little bit. Let's build into the anticipation of what it's like to be just cut open and heart tinkered with, and let's talk about you for a little bit, brother.
All right.
Now, how long have you been wrestling?
It'd be 18 years already, believe it or not. March 29th, 2002 was my first match.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I just turned 39, actually, about a week ago.
All right, well, happy late birthday, brother. I'm 38.
Thank you, sir.
I wouldn't have guessed it. We got some good genetics going on, and we both look pretty goddamn young.
I'll take it, man. I'll take it. I need all the help I can get. Shoot.
Where'd you get started?
Actually, local boy, man. I got started back in the day for Rocky Mountain Championship Wrestling up in Denver.
Wow. Okay, so
originally worked with Latin Thunder, Robert Amador, Lightning Blind Mike, Matt Wild, Lonnie Valdez, a bunch of those cats. Not too many of us are still around, but I'm still one of them.
No, I appreciate you being on the show, man. Like it broke my heart when I saw that promo you cut about the surgery and how you might not be back, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So, all right, so 18 years ago.
Yep.
All right, so what lit the fire under your ass to start training?
Really, man? I was a big old fan. Like, first pay-per-view was WrestleMania 6. Some child of the 80s. Truth be known, the reason I got into local wrestling, I was a really big Shane Helms fan. And between his stay in the end of WCW and when he started in WWE, he came up and did a local show for CWO, the Central Wrestling Organization up in Denver. And I happened to find out about it and made my friend drive me up there.
Hurricane Helms, man. He's one of my favorites.
Fun fact, he actually wrestled Mr. Intensity Jeff McAllister.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, goddamn. That was like a good way to get introduced to a local show, man. How old were you?
Yeah. God, I must have been 17, 18 at the time, probably. I was 18.
Were you a WCW guy or were you a WWE guy?
I was a WWE guy. I stopped watching mid-90s just because it kind of got stupid.
Right.
And then I came back in once I saw Rey Mysterio and Conan wrestle in WCW.
All right, so you tuned out, and I really and I'm going to ask. I want to start asking everyone this because it seems like when it comes to the product, especially the E or the F, depending on what year we're talking about, there's always a time when you're like, man, I fucking love this. This is going to be the best thing ever. I'm never going to stop watching. And then what happened to me was John Cena and Randy Orton showed up, and I'm like, fuck this. Can't do it. What was it in particular, if you remember, what made you stop for a little bit in the mid-90s? Because, yeah, I did get a little stale.
Well, it was during the New Generation era. And I think they just kept on every week would just end in some kind of setup for next week. And after a while, it just drove me crazy. I just got tired. I want a definitive ending. You know, I want to see where it ends, and that way I'll come back and be a new story next week. And it just never happened.
Just like Days of Our Lives, it like takes a year for anything to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So I just started watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
No, nothing wrong with that, brother. That's something happen every damn week. That's one of the best shows of all time.
Yeah, I'll still watch it. Shoot.
Shit, that's why like how we got HBO. HBO was it? HBO Max was. I found that I was out. I called my sister. I'm like, "Yo, Fresh Prince is on this," and she's like, "What? We got to get it right now." I'm like, "Yeah, we got it. We're sharing it. We're sharing our account, but we're not telling anyone what it is because we're gonna get busted."
Exactly.
We share everything.
So they're just classic, and that's one of them.
No, goddamn, man. I remember coming. That was like one of the best things ever when they started putting that on after school. Like I get home like at 4:00, and like at 4:30, like after plenty of time to make a sandwich, Fresh Prince time.
Exactly.
Now, okay, so it is one of those things where people tune out. When did you get back in?
Like I said, I just happened to turn it on one day. Like, you're just randomly freaking looking through channels and happened to, like I said, I think pretty sure it was Rey Mysterio at first. And then I saw Conan and then Eddie Guerrero. And, you know, I don't know if you know, but I'm half white, half Puerto Rican. And those Latino stars just really were, you know, they were doing some new and different stuff. And I just really got into it.
I'm Mexican, Native, and Spanish, so I know loud and clear how awesome those guys were.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it was hard to find dudes that were brown that like kicked ass back in the day, man. I remember that's why I was so into Jose Canseco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same thing with Tito Santana for, you know, the old school wrestling fans.
Yeah, it was hard. It was, man, all of them together, man. So obviously you're talking about you turned on WCW then.
Mm-hmm, definitely got back into it with Nitro, and eventually kind of started watching WWE again little by little, and, you know, freaking just kind of kept, you know, I was riding that Attitude Era wave and going to all the shows and all kinds of insanity. I had t-shirts, freaking everything.
What was your first Raw like?
It was really cool, actually. I remember my first show was actually a local Coliseum show, and that was actually pre-Raw.
Damn.
And I remember the Rockers were there, and I actually got a headband of the Rockers, and I actually still have it right now.
I got a New Day headband with a light up unicorn on it, and I'm
nice.
I'm gonna be buried with it. I fucking love that damn thing.
See, we weren't that fancy back in the day.
No, but at least you got it, man, because that was such a big deal, man. Because like I grew up mostly out of the still kind of in the States, but not like there was like 6.5 years we were in Alaska, like from most of my teenage years, and no one went up there. I think the most that we got in Fairbanks, Alaska was, I think Van Halen showed up once, Weird Al, and that was, and then my first concert was Soul Asylum. There's no way we're gonna get to see any fucking WWE.
Dude, I used to rock Soul Asylum hard back in high school. Shoot.
Dude, it was a great ass concert, man. I was surprised, because I really knew that one song, but we only went because, you know, it was an actual rock band that had something to do with anything that we'd seen on TV, and they really kicked some ass, man. That was like, what, 96, 97? Even a mosh
I lived in Amarillo for 4 years, and you would just go to anything because you're just happy that somebody knew about your little town.
You're from Amarillo?
No. I'm from here originally. Actually, born in Germany. My dad was military, and I ended up in Amarillo for like 4 years.
I assume Air Force?
No, Army.
Army? What? Rammstein?
No, I was actually born in Landstuhl.
Landstuhl. Is that still around? Like, because I know they closed a lot of those bases back that were in Germany. I think there's only 2 left.
I think that one was just a city, as far as I know. I don't think it was like a military hospital.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. I want to know everything about you, man. That's one of the best things about doing this show especially today. That's what. There's you don't really have a Wikipedia page for me to like. I found as many matches as I could of you on YouTube, but I really just want everyone to get to know you, man, because backstage it's a different story, especially during show day. Like I've had people like, well, we can do the interview of day of show. At first I would always say yes, but bad idea. Everyone is too much in a heightened state of awareness. Everyone's trying to get in their own groove, trying to figure out the match, worried about where this boot is, whether or not this asshole's there or not, and making sure that everyone's playing safe, making sure you're getting your shit in. And it's a bad idea. So, but you've always been such a sweetheart to me, man. And I always really appreciate that, because we're in a room full of alphas, and I'm just a guy with a microphone, like, just going around to the best talent, and it was so nice to meet you and get to see you guys wrestle, man. Tell us about Vanity Inc. for just a second.
Alrighty. Yeah, man, Vanity Inc. was something Alexis Vane came up with, and actually at first neither one of us were, me nor Cumberbatch, were actually involved in it originally. It was actually, I think, originally done in Primos.
Really?
And funnily enough, I believe originally, I could be wrong about this, but it was Johnny Crash and Paulie B were actually the original Vanity Inc.
Johnny's my boy, man. He was the first one I broke protocol with, like, at that first CSW show. Like, I couldn't help but just give him a hug, because that guy's just the biggest fucking sweetheart, man.
Oh yeah, no, Johnny's great, good kid. Freaking Paulie was always awesome too. I don't think people realize how good Paulie B could be. I don't think Paulie ever realized how good Paulie B could be.
What happened to Paulie B, man? He was one of the first dudes I met. He was that kind of skinnier white dude, Alfred E. Newman smile.
Kinda, yeah. Freaking, I think he just kind of got tired of it. In all honesty, it just wasn't his bag. He does a lot of video game music, actually. And I think that's kind of more his passion than anything else.
I think the last time I saw him was right around that time. He who should not be named really fucked up and really shit on the industry here in Southern Colorado, and everyone was kind of in a daze for a while before shit got going back again. And this is pre-COVID. I think you know what I'm talking about, right?
I definitely got a guess. So yeah,
yeah. So
I'm not a fan of his myself. So
yeah, it's just one of those things that happens, but. One of the things I was really happy about, and it's one of those silver linings that just turned into something wonderful, is that after such a bad experience that all y'all went through, and, like he out of state now, but it's like after that, like it was just, everyone was just in such a mood to just be good to each other and do the best for each other. It really showed in the shows, especially... more and more people started showing up. Y'all started working a lot better in ring. Also, the training is really, really stepped up. That's something I've really been enjoying, is watching the posts. Like, hey, if you ain't training, sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the way it should be. If you're gonna do this, you got to put your heart into it. It's a big deal, man. One of the biggest things we used to not have, I don't know how much we have it now, but I definitely think it's better, is just trust.
Agreed.
Freaking, you're in the ring, you got to trust your opponent with your body. He's got to, he should trust you with his. And then I don't think people, definitely over time, I think people kind of got respect for that aspect of it, but a lot of people, there are people that definitely don't, and there are people that definitely didn't back in the day. Is, same thing we were talking about earlier, where some, some poor, Paulie B got taken advantage of, and he didn't do nothing wrong.
Right.
Freaking, I remember I walked out of that league that night.
That was a
shit. I went back for one match because Dustin Rhodes was there. And freaking Paulie had already been back for months beforehand.
Wow. I'm glad.
And I was just like, I get the concept of, hey, brother, workers are going to work and all that nonsense, but I think it's stupid because workers need to work places that are good. People need to work places that are respectful to you, and people need to work places that, know their worth.
Was there any one particular instance when you realized the sheer amount of trust that was involved other than just being like an armchair booker?
No, man, really, it was just kind of like, I came in with I feel a pretty healthy respect for the business aspect of it because, it is what it is, man. Freaking, we all know what this is. It's pro wrestling, call it what you will, but, it's a bunch of guys that, and women, I'm not going to say it's just the guys, but it's a bunch of people that are working together, or at least should, and that's kind of where a lot of my issues with a couple people come from, is that certain people take advantage of other people when, there's no real reason to. And it's just kind of, and Paulie B was a huge guy that got taken advantage of. And quite frankly, it was garbage.
Well, maybe he'll come back, man. Maybe we'll get a chance. He'll listen in because I loved watching that guy work, and he was such a great guy to me right off the bat. And that shows. It shows a lot to me because one thing is, especially now, like with all the group chats, people that maybe cross a line and post something they shouldn't have, or even just are gonna like post like, "Hey, this happened." It's all in the open now, so like the trust factor is upped the ante like crazy. The other thing is you can't hide anything like that anymore. Hell, like Lars Sullivan just came back and they're like, "Yay, Lars is back. We forgot about that gay porn thing after how much he hates gay people." But then he starts fucking sexting people, and he's like, "Yeah, you can't hide that shit anymore." And
nah, you really can't, man. That's one of the things when I was running my trainings, I would always tell people to watch what you say on the internet. And if you want to be in a big league company, maybe not talk trash about them. Seems simple enough in theory. If my goal is to be in WWE, why would I, these guys are garbage, this guy sucks, I should be in this position, not that guy.
Right.
Believe it or not, nobody cares. Like, if you want to get in that position, bust your hump and try to earn it. Move to a place with, where they're going to look at you. It is what it is.
No, and you're 100% correct. And one of the reasons I brought it up is because when people don't know me, not that I'm Mr. Big Shot and all, I do my best to be as professional as I can, and I am trying to have the best product in Colorado when it comes to podcasting, just in general. But most people don't know me, and I really like that. I'm really enjoying that for as long as I can, because when I meet someone and I introduce myself, "Hey, I'm Joshua Michael. I run Mindfields podcast." It's not something like, "Yo, I run this podcast." No, I don't. That's not how we do it. But when I immediately get big leagued, it makes me happy. And the reason it makes me happy is because I've just learned everything I need to learn about you. That's how you do business. You never know. Can you imagine being backstage? It is 1997, and a 5'4" Mexican dude comes and, "Hey, my name is such and such," and like, "Hey, fuck you." And then later on backstage, you see him lacing up his boots and putting on the mask, and that you just were shitty to Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, and that happens, man. I know guys that freaking went to WWE doing like extra work and came in with attitudes, and they kicked him right out of the building. Never been used since, just because you had this horrible, crappy attitude.
Yeah, the attitude is just something that I really. God, it's one of those things, and I feel like I'm getting a little preachy about it sometimes, to tell you the truth, because I watch so much.
I don't really feel like you are, though, man. Like, I freaking, I help book for New Era, and I will totally not use somebody just because I feel like they have a crap attitude.
New Era, I love it. I am. Please tell me it's not dead, because it is.
Oh, no, man. We're me and the owners, we're always talking. We're always trying to see what the thing is. We just want, we don't want to put anybody at risk.
Agreed.
You know, that's really what it comes down to. We don't want to put our staff at risk. We don't want to put the fans at risk because that we spent 8 years freaking building that up. And same thing we were talking about earlier, man. It's all about trust. You know, our fans. You know, it's almost like a family. You know, our fans hang out with each other, talk to each other, helped out the product. You know, we're not going to throw that out just because we want to run a show because we're wrestlers.
Right.
And, not talking mess in anybody who has because we're the only place that hasn't come back yet.
Well,
But this is why we do this. We're gonna come back hard. We're gonna come back and make the impact, quote unquote.
Two things. When you guys come back, I sincerely doubt you've. I am 100% that you would have not lost any of the steam behind you. You're gonna hit that ground running like nothing happened. Number two, I'm proud of the fact that y'all are doing what you're doing. I'm also proud of the fact of what everyone else is doing because you were correct. It is to each his own. Everyone has their own protocols, but from everything we're seeing, everyone is doing their absolute damnedest to keep people safe. Some people, some people don't want to be in that situation, so they haven't been wrestling, we haven't seen Colt Cabana wrestle in months. But that's Colt Cabana. AEW's had a couple slip through. WWE handled it. I think they could have handled it better.
Okay, I could agree with that. Yeah.
I'm not shitting on it, but there was a few things that got out, but then we have
it is what it is, man.
Right. We've got CSW, and everyone. It's the amount of trust is 100% there, and mass social distancing. If the crowd is not, if they're disobeying it on their own to their own selves, that's on them. But for the wrestlers, everyone else is doing their best. Devotion. Oh, that broke my heart, man, because everyone got RMP had to reschedule the next show, but they still rescheduled, and they immediately, the accountability was through the roof, and that makes me so happy because 10 years ago, if something little like this would have happened, maybe 20 years ago, it's a different time. I feel like it would have been swept up, and everyone needs to shut up, don't tell anyone these people got sick, and if you tell anyone you're not getting booked anymore, but no, it's not like that anymore. Immediately, Yaden and Curtis and everyone at RMP and Devotion, full disclosure.
Yeah.
And again, to each his own, and I'm digging it. But hey, you guys have decided to put the brakes on 100%. I respect that. All I'm trying to say is that was a long-ass winded way to say I can't fucking wait to get back to Mile High and see you guys kick some ass.
Oh yeah, dude, we're chomping at the bit, man. A lot of us are dang near feral, freaking waiting. But just kind of is what it is. Unfortunately, this is. I'm not going to use that new normal term, but this is the situation we live in currently.
Now, okay, so we've got a lot of big shows coming up, and we'll talk to that in a little bit. But how did you and Cumby get together, man? That guy is such a straight up guy to me, and as well, like, hey, Cumby, if you're listening, man, thanks for being always such a gentleman to me, and it shows in how well you do business, and Tony, it shows in how well you do business as well. How did you guys get shined up together?
Well, I helped train Cumberbatch back in the day, so we knew him. Kind of like a lot of what the promo I cut at the end of our tag match, the last CSW show, was pretty much 100% shoot. Freaking Cumby's a great kid, bust his hump. I definitely saw something in him pretty early on. He was one of those cats that really kind of took to it really quickly.
Right.
And like I said, about his third match, we had put him with Vanity Incorporated, which at the time was Alexis Vane, Bruce Rogers, and Xander Creed.
Great lineup.
Yeah, he was and then he was we were kind of, like I said, grooming him up to be a star. Basically, is what we were shooting for. Funnily enough, freaking I think maybe a year had passed since that, and we were going to a show in Wyoming, and it was a carload of four of us: myself, Cumberbatch, Adrian Matthews, and Jason Knoll. And the promoter had put us, just kind of thrown us together, and we were like, well, let's have some fun. So we, myself and Cumberbatch against Adrian and Jason Knoll. And we just went out there and had a freaking great match. and we sat there. If you've known Cumberbatch personally, he's kind of a quiet guy. When we went out there and did the tag match, though, he was alive, just making fun of people, picking on kids, yelling at their moms, blah, 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 just kind of really going out there and, getting in people's faces.
He's a natural hero.
Yeah. So, we just kind of went out there and we, like I said, we did our thing. We were like, that worked rather well. We actually ended up leaving as the Big Sky World Tag Team Champions of the world of Wyoming. So, awesome. And we actually still have those belts to this day. It's been, I think, about 3 years.
Just not returning some phone calls when they want that belt back, baby?
Oh, no, I got something to do, man. I got to get my hair cut that day.
All right, so you fell in love with them then. You're running Van and Eek now, and where are you running? You're running in Primos, you're running in New Era, you're running in...
No, we're actually not running in Primos. Actually, I personally have not worked for Primos in 2-3 years, I believe. No problems with anybody there. Just, we just haven't worked together. So Cumberbatch has kind of been doing his own thing, and he actually, I believe, made it to the finals of Slave to the Death match a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, the photos of him kicking ass, he was bleeding like a stuck pig, and you could see how fucking happy he was just to be in that spot. Primos does put on a primo show. I know that's a shitty metaphor, but
it's not really though. I mean, it's a different beast. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the big thing about wrestling is, the reason it should be so inclusive is that, there's a little something for everybody, man. If the booker at New Era, the booker at CSW, and the booker at Primos, let's say, all had the exact same roster, from top to bottom, the same group of guys.
Right.
Each show would put on a different show. There'd be a different guy in the main, there'd be a different guy in the opener, different guy in the middle. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No, and
it's just it's a different flavor of ice cream, is what Les Thatcher and Harley Race always used to tell me when they would come to visit, back in 03, 04. And they were right, man. It's a different flavor of ice cream. Some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla, some people like Rocky Road. It's still ice cream.
I love that about this place, man. I remember when I first found the shows, it was, I just started working at my shoot job, and the guy that was sitting next to me, because when you have to introduce yourself, I'm like, so what's your name? My name's Joshua Michael. I'm big into comic books and pro wrestling, and that's all I want to talk about and think about, and that's literally all I'm gonna talk to you about. And I sat down, and the guy sitting next to me was like, so are you legit into wrestling? And I took my leather jacket off that I was wearing, and I was wearing my Lucha Underground hoodie. He's like, holy fuck. Yeah. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, you casual fans ain't wearing no fucking Lucha Underground hoodie. And then he told me, yeah, there's a big show coming up for CSW. Unfortunately, the guy that founded it, passed away. This is going to be his memorial event. And I'm like, I can't fucking go to that. He's like, why not? I'm like, because wrestling is a family, man. I'd feel like a piece of shit voyeur showing up where everyone's upset and hugging, and I'm like, yay, I'm here. No, I'd feel like I was crashing a funeral. But then I got the next one we went to, and then I found out about New Era. Boom, New Era. Then Primos. Boom, Primos. Then Rocky Mountain Pro on Twitch. This is happening here, and it makes me. I wouldn't leave Colorado anyway. But with all this, I mean, we got the Albuquerque guys showing up. We got Devotion showing up. Al Snow's working with everyone now. That the school is expanding into Rocky Mountain, and everyone's working well together, man. Even when I talked to Matt Yaden, he didn't give a fuck who I work for or that I talked to everyone. He was just cool, hands down, no matter what. Joey, same thing over at Primos. If you need help, let us know. And then I got Mr. Tony Morales on my show, who mean mugs the shit out of everyone, and it's an honor, man.
I've calmed down in my old age. I'm not the same miserable bastard I used to be.
Who are your heel? Who are the people that inspired you being such a good ass heel?
Oh man, freaking! Mr. Perfect was always a lot of fun to watch. trying to think of other great heels that really just kind of caught my attention, man. But him, like all those Minnesota boys, man. Him, Rick Rude. Rude was freaking phenomenal. Like Rude to this day doesn't get his freaking due. A lot of those mid card '80s WB guys. Like I'm a big Boss Man fan, actually.
Nice.
Vader was always somebody I liked, which is fun because I actually got to help train his son before he went to WWE. Jesse, really cool cat that, I don't know the situation with him leaving WWE, but I always thought he could have done a little bit more.
Well, it's everyone's path, like people get really passionate and then they find out like, nah, I'd rather, we're going to go a family way. We're going to, it's to each his own. But I think the only hard question I have for you, and this isn't me attacking you. This isn't me attacking wrestlers, but I have noticed a trend in a lot of the up and coming guys and a lot of the in some of the more established guys here that where it's easy to get derailed as a wrestler. Where I hear like, man, I was gonna quit. I was done. And that sort of I don't know why. I don't know if it. I don't know when it rubs me the wrong way. I'm not sure if it bothers me, but it certainly doesn't make me feel happy. I mean, like it should. But why do you think that y'all have such an explosive mentality? Because I've heard it from so many people. What is it about wrestlers where all of a sudden you're ready to throw in the towel so quickly?
I mean, there's a couple different ways to look at it. It could be like if you're doing a veteran versus, say, the younger generation guys. There could be that thought process of, a lack of respect. Back in my day, we did things this way and we trained this way and that. And it's like, if you want to keep that tradition going, why aren't you keeping that tradition going?
Right.
It's easy to freaking tell. I can tell anybody who's, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. Some of these kids just don't want to listen. I've told people exactly what I thought of, their match or whatever. And I've had to be like, oh, thanks, man. And it does. It sets you off a little bit. It's like, I'm over here trying to help you out, brother. I don't have to. I can good brother you all I want. But if you're not going to listen, well, I got no time for you then. It could be something like that. It could just be, you're in the heat of the moment. And you come back, you had a bad match with somebody. And you're like, well, that guy doesn't deserve to even be in the ring. Whether he does or not. Maybe you feel that way. I've had people come to me and be like, what do you think about this guy? And, and a lot of times, sometimes they'll like my reaction. Sometimes they won't. I think I personally look at it. I look at this thing a lot different than a lot of other guys where, I'm like I said, I've done this for 18 years, sometimes you're not going to have the match you want to have. And sometimes you're going to have the match with guys like that you expect to have great matches with.
Right. Like
some of my favorite matches that I've had were with garbage guys that did not know what they were doing, guys that, if they didn't listen, you might have to, snug them up a little bit.
Right.
But, I've had matches with, Brokeback Billy was one example. We had a phenomenal match. We had a series of 2 matches for his last 2 New Era matches for the title. And, he was always a good dude. Like, I knew him before he was Brokeback. Like, he used to come to shows when he was a fan. And, I always liked the kid. But I never felt like, I feel like he got the gimmick of Brokeback and then just threw him on shows.
Right.
It sucks, but it is what it is. Like, he was never allowed to become a good wrestler. He was a hardcore guy, and that was all he needed to be. Just a side note real quick, one of my big things when I train guys is I've told them, do you want to be good or do you want to be good enough? You can either be good enough to get on a show, or I can train you to the point where you're good, and then you come out and you're freaking a top guy. Because you are, I know you know what you're doing. And other people will respect that. Like, not just because, it's Tony Morales or it's my opinion, but I make it a point. I want to be proud of everybody I've trained. It doesn't necessarily always happen, But you look at guys, like I said, like Cumberbatch. Adrian Matthews was a really good worker. Austin Logan. Logan Austin he was great. He's still great. BZB. He's one of the most underrated guys in this state.
I fucking love BZB.
Yeah, he's a great kid. Freaking gets in his head a little too much, but the guy can go. But not enough people give him the respect I feel like he deserves. And he's another one, kind of like Paulie B, where I don't think he gives himself the respect he deserves.
I got tested the other day, and I wanted to bring it up because I crashed SoCo Pro training on Saturday morning, and I was talking with Elias, who I just have the utmost respect for, and I noticed that he was dusting his boots off every time he got in the ring. And I was like, you do that every single time? And he was like, well, yeah, because it was like a brief little intermission. He was like, yeah, you got to get get the rocks or dirt because it's outside in Randy's backyard at the moment. And I was like, no. You do that if this was like a perfectly sanitary room and your boots were perfectly 100% you could eat off of them. You would still do that, wouldn't you? He's like, yeah, I would. And I'm like, I like that sort of respect. And that's what I want to do because I talked to him for a little bit. And I might have if I can clean up the audio as part of this particular podcast before or after. But I was doing the interview with everyone, talking with the SoCo Pro, talking about respect, talking about what you need to do to get over as a trainee, not as a wrestler, and that was the big thing. And I asked Elias, like, hey man, you've been in the business for a while. If you have anything I can do to improve, and he's like, actually, brother, yes. And he laid out a solid 3-4 minutes of what he thought I could do to improve, and he was testing me. He was waiting for me to be cocky and be like, no, I already do that. No, I already do that. No, it was no. It was 100%. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was more of a yes sensei type thing. And then he looked at me, he's like, all right. And then he shook my fucking hand. Like, no, it wasn't like that's when I knew it was a test. And he shook my hand. Now, back to the question at hand about y'all being divas. Is that I think that people need to realize one of the best parts about wrestling culture is that there is a part of it that I really think needs to be inflicted on everyone else in general in the whole fucking world right now, is that the world of wrestling involves second chances, third chances, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 20th chances. Y'all might have rubbed each other wrong. I'm done. I'm never working with you no more. 20 years later, would you ever thought that Warrior would be in the ring in the Hall of Fame?
Nah, you're not wrong on that.
No, and yeah, you get rubbed wrong. The other thing is I can tell, the only thing because I've done as much research as I possibly can, is that y'all are so obsessed with putting out a good product, the second things goes wrong, and I'm guilty of this myself, your head collapses sometimes, but you're a trainer, so you've got that mastered, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely wouldn't say I've got it mastered. There's definitely, as a human, it's easy to. Everybody kind of loses it now and again. It's just kind of, personally, I'm a big practitioner of does it really matter? I remember me and Cumberbatch had a tag match with a couple of local guys. And it didn't go as well as we'd liked. They weren't, we had already known that, they weren't particularly looked at as quote unquote good workers.
Right.
But Cumberbatch was mad about it, and I just kind of laughed it off because it was like, dude, no one got hurt. Nothing was screwed up that bad. It just kind of, it is what it is, man. Freaking, not every match, unfortunately, is going to be perfect. If we could, if every match was perfect, we'd all be, sitting pretty with our contracts.
Right.
Except for that one guy that sucks but still gets over huge, that Sandman looking dude that freaking everybody loves, and you're just like, why? Why do they like you? There's always that one guy.
Right. I can see what you're saying. Because there's the inherent jealousy, like, why am I not there? I'm better than that. That does apply to exactly the subject at hand. The one reason I even brought up the question is because when you and I were talking about doing this podcast about a month and a little bit more than a month ago, and
Yeah.
I was like, because I had seen your promo that you might not be back, and
Yeah.
I wanted to cry, dude. I'm an emotional guy, man. I'm just gonna lay it out. Like there have been wrestling matches where I have cried my eyes out or
Oh, Flair Michaels, I got you.
yeah, just yeah, the I'm sorry. I mean, you can show that to anyone else in the world, they wouldn't understand what the I'm sorry meant. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But like when, and this is just a base example, when Undertaker threw Mankind, and it was real, and the whole world realized whether or not it's wrestling is real or not. That shit was real, and I lost my fucking mind. Is he done? Like what really put it over for me was that JR didn't know what to say, and JR always knows what to say. Like JR's like the mom, like no, everyone knows, everyone's cool, don't worry, everything's fine. And when JR didn't know what to say, dude, I lost it, and I got a little emotional. Actually, I got very emotional watching you do that last promo you did right before the CSW show that you might not be back, and I wanted to be like, that like 5-year-old kid, like it's like, say it ain't so, Tony. Say it ain't so.
Nah, I mean, like I said, it is what it is, man. Freaking, like I said, 18 years, had a good run. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's, heart surgery is nothing to mess with. So,
was it something congenital, something that you were born with?
Yeah, pretty much. The whole thing with that comes in. People have 4 heart valves.
Right.
I was only born with 3. So the whole thing is, you have the heart chambers, and the valves are in between each one. Regulates the flow of blood. For the first 6 months of my life, I didn't have that. So, like, the reason we actually found out about it, because I was always just a sick little kid. But my dad came in one time to check on my crib to check on me, and I was turning blue. Like, I just stopped breathing. And they rushed me to the hospital, and that's when they found out about my valve. So they ended up having to do emergency surgery on it. He's sick.
Is it one of those things that, like, if you were born today, that you'd be having surgeries every 10 years?
No, not necessarily. Because the valve they put in Germany was actually only supposed to last me until I turned about 15. And they'd actually set the entire surgery up to change it and everything. But the doctor basically said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
And I ended up, I ended up lasting until about the beginning of this year. And I went in for an echocardiogram. And they told me that I had a 13% gradient between the valve and the chamber of my heart. And it should, if anything past 10% is dangerous. So that's when they decided that I needed to have surgery on it. So this had been originally set up, I believe, February. So my original plan was to have surgery around June, but, pandemic mania hit. So I kind of had to push that back. And we ended up, pushing it back till 2 days after the last CSW show. So,
first off, I appreciate you sharing that, because first off, any lesser man would be freaking the fuck out even describing that in the first place. Second off, the promo you put out, I loved the mixture of shoot and work, especially because it's such a difficult thing. First, you're having to come to terms with something. Second off, y'all are the champions at the moment, so everyone's going to see the story and be like, well, obviously they're going to lose. But Randy worked out something great for y'all, so that was perfect. And it told the story. It didn't leave you on a shitty note. It didn't leave you as a loser, which a lot of, face it, we're all alphas in this business. That would rub you wrong. And if you don't mind me asking, how the fuck did you come to terms with this?
You just got to deal with it, man. Like, it wasn't going to change anything, man. Either I had a year to live, or, I got the surgery done, and I don't have to get this thing replaced till I'm 70. So, I mean, it sucked, dude. Freaking, I'm married and I have a 5-year-old son. Push comes to shove, I got to be there for them.
Straight up shoot. Do you mind sharing first names of the people that are keeping you alive? That your son, or maybe not son, but maybe your wife, just to give them some love.
My wife's name's Carolyn, and my son's name's Connor. It's why I do the things I do. Mostly outside the ring. I stopped training guys full time to go back to college. Because I'm trying to work my way towards getting a degree for radiology. So, and that's why I did it. I gotta grow up sometime.
Well, I disagree with that. There's nothing wrong with having a shoot job. Shit, man, my best friend and I can talk. Last time we talked about something random, we ended up talking about G.I. Joe for 2 hours straight on a legitimate, analytical basis. Mm-hmm. But I can't wait to meet Carolyn and Connor and shake both their hands, because one of the things most important about the business is the things that a lot of people won't have eyes onto unless Dark Side of the Ring shows up or it's something tragic. But luckily, you're doing well from hearing you just shoot the shit. Second off, having to be the behind the scenes people, when my dad retired from the Air Force, we went to the ceremony, and I couldn't the before they gave my dad his big, not really award, but everything they give him, they called my mom out, and she had no idea. I had no idea. They called us all. Well, they called my mom up there, and they recognized me and my sister, and they're like, before we give Michael all of his accolades, we have to recognize the people that took care of him while we were TDY, and he was gone for a while, or you guys had to get uprooted every 3 years, and they really focus on the family that backed this military man that was doing what he had to do, just like you're doing. And I want a light to be shined on Carolyn and Connor, and everyone else that's listening right now. I'm sure you're thinking of your Carolyn Connor right now that have kept you sustained while you're achieving your dream, while you're doing something that most people would say was childish, or like you just joked about a second ago, was you got to grow up. No, you don't got to grow up. You just got to make sure those fucking gimmicks that come in the mail are paid.
yeah, you're not wrong, man. You gotta prioritize. Might be the better way to put it.
And again, back to the reason I brought it up is because I got to see you back in the ring unless it's not something feasible. But if it's not something feasible, I want to be the first to say, how can I help you stay in the business without dying? And how can I put over whatever school you're doing, whatever new guy you're training? Let me be the first to say I still believe in you. And whether you get back in the ring or not, I can't wait to shake your hand and support anything you do in the future.
Nah, man, definitely appreciate it. Shoot, really, I'd love to get back into training, guys. I love training. I've probably trained probably between 30 and 50 people overall, between training in Amarillo and training up in Denver. So I definitely wouldn't mind getting back into that. That's kind of a personal passion of mine, because I don't think like I said, I've been around too much these days, but back in the day, definitely trainers didn't take it seriously. They would train you enough to get on a show. And that was it. And training's a commitment from both sides, man. Both the trainers and the trainees. It's a financial commitment for the trainees, and then, like I said, you're giving up your body, and you gotta trust in the guy training you that he's not not going to screw with you, or not going to mess with you, or not going to train you improperly. Because it doesn't take much to be a trainer. You buy a ring, and you say you're a wrestler. And I've definitely seen places that are like that, not talking mess about anybody personally, or I'm not really talking mess about anybody in Colorado, but I always used to say, when I'm my time in Texas, you'd wrestle a guy that should be in WWE one night, and then the next night you'd wrestle a guy that didn't belong in a ring.
Correct.
You know, and that just kind of, like I said, is what it is. You know, and you gotta be able to get a good match at either guy, which is why I take training so seriously. Because at the end of the night, you know, I believe it was Johnny Valentine that said it, but I heard it from Jerry Lynn, man, is, you know, you don't have to believe wrestling's real, but I'll make you believe I'm real.
I dig that, but at the same time, the only thing I'm thinking about is how, yeah, you might wrestle someone that should be in WWE one time, and then one night, and the next day some guy that shit the bed. But, God, how can I even fucking say that? I'm not a wrestler. I mean, like, if I was a wrestler, I would say I want to shine up everyone I go out and make them look good, even if they're bad. And, you know, obviously you're going to have to give some receipts and work a little bit snug if they're fucking up. But at the same time, though, I'd like to say that the romanticized version is always shining people up. But at the same time, though, you hear about these schools that, yeah, you've got to. Yeah, you can say you're a wrestler and you've got a ring, you buy the ring, but I don't find that here in Colorado. I find everyone training, everyone in Primos, everyone in New Era, everyone in Rocky Mountain, everyone that's going and like everyone's doing their best to shine everyone up, and I'm doing my best to be as positive without being that over positive, annoying guy. Like, why are you so happy? like get out of here. Like, you know, when you meet someone, like, why are you having a good day? Fuck you. Like,
I got you, man. Like I said, it's not nearly as, like, back in the day it could get difficult because there were guys that, you know, there are always guys that have reputations that, you know, aren't as good as this guy or that guy, and that doesn't mean anything. Like I told you earlier, man, some of my best matches have been with guys that people didn't respect. You know, it is what it is, but you gotta, I say that a lot, is what it is. This is kind of how I live my life, I suppose. But, you know, there's a lot of guys, like I said, I've had some great matches with guys that, you know, other people had horrible matches with. Right. You know, and they're like I said, there's even good guys like me and Tommy Boucher back in the day. You know, he was a good worker. I felt like I was a good worker, but for some reason we just never had chemistry. You know, we would wrestle each other probably at least half a dozen to a dozen times over the years, and something would always happen where it just didn't work out right. And we just go to the back and laugh it off and be like, you know, there it goes again. So, I mean, even if two guys are good workers, doesn't mean that they can't, you know, they're not going to mess up here and there. I think I heard one time Shawn Michaels and Mr. Perfect could never have a good match together. Like Shawn, I believe he wrote about it in his book, Poss.
Yeah, we had a little bit of some technical difficulties, Mindfielders, but we're back. The question I was asking, though, is that Shawn Michaels book actually worth reading? Because I've always been not a big fan of Shawn Michaels.
I didn't mind it. I used to read all the books back in the day, so I've read them. I've probably read that one probably at least 3-4 times, so I'd definitely say it's worth it.
I've got all of Y2J, Chris Jericho, and My Heroes books on file. I've read probably each one 3 times. I've got all of Mankind's books. Those were pretty good. I loved them. You guys are just funny, man. But Jericho, God.
No, there's a lot of, like, I remember Edge's was really good, and I wasn't, like, a huge Edge guy, but I really enjoyed his book.
Did he write that himself, or did he have someone help him write it, like with the Stone Cold book, which unfortunately, despite he's my favorite wrestler, was the worst book?
Yeah, I think he had somebody else write it for him. I don't recall off the top of my head, but I remember it still was like a solid read. Like that one was really solid. I remember William Regal's was really a lot of fun, and Terry Funk's and Harley Race's books, which weren't WWE affiliated, were really good.
Nice. I didn't know Funkster had a book out.
Oh yeah, dude! Freaking, I'll have to let you borrow it sometime. Freaking, I've got it here at the house. It's solid. Funnily enough, there's pictures of him from back in the day. Look, with spitting image of Duff Doyle.
I love Duff. I love that Duff, man. I love his gimmick. I love how everyone talks great about him. Great trainer, and then he's great in the ring, man. He's one of my favorite attractions there at New Era, man.
Yeah, dude, freaking. I actually knew Duff before he was Duff. Originally, I don't think how many people know this. I think it was like a 6-month gimmick. He wore a mask as the vigilante.
Really?
Yep, fun fact. I have to ask him about it sometime.
Did you just get tired of the mask from what everyone else gets tired of?
I don't recall off the top of my head at the moment, but I think they put him under the mask because they were like, oh, you don't have facials and you don't make faces and whatnot. And And next thing you know, here he was, Duff Doyle, just over-animated and just insane. So, but you know what they say, you can't get enough of that wonderful Duff.
Please tell me he's done Duff Man.
No, not yet. He should, though.
Oh, yeah.
I heard he's running for president this year as a write-in candidate, actually. You know, so vote Duff 2020.
Duff Man is thrusting in the direction of the problem. That's my favorite Duff Man quote. Like, who's Barney Gumble? I'm the DD. Duff supports all of the... I'm cracking up. Oh, sorry, I'm a big Simpsons fan.
You're good, dude. You're good.
All right, so if you were going to write a book, are you going to start it from getting cut open, or are you going to do it from the beginning?
I don't know, man. That wouldn't be the worst idea. I think I would actually probably do that. Just kind of set me apart from all the other books. So I could definitely see that working out pretty well.
How did it go down, man? I mean, like, did they give you like that, you know, I love you and I hope you wake up from this type thing? Did you have to go through that?
No, really, it was actually pissed off my doctor first. So, because you're not supposed to eat for 12 hours beforehand.
Right.
And freaking, I spaced it just doing my morning routine. I freaking chugged a protein shake on my way out the door. And you're not supposed to do that because you could throw up during surgery and asphyxiate.
Right.
So they actually ended up, funnily, they didn't ask a question about it till right before they were going to take me to surgery. And they had a guy come in to shave my chest, or what I thought was shave my chest. He comes in like, hey, we're gonna shave you and whatnot. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Figured, like I said, they're shaving my chest, big deal.
So
if I'd have known about it, I'd have aired beforehand. Whatever.
Some mental patient broke in, shaved your balls, and then got arrested, and then you're like, what the fuck just happened?
Pretty much. No, this dude, he'd been doing it for like 28 years, he says, and he's just like, I'm all about saving lives. And he's like, just so you know, we're going to shave you from your chest all the way down. Because apparently that's just what they do for all surgery patients. And I was like, come again? They're like, yeah, we need you to fully disrobe and we're going to shave you. You're going to be like a newborn baby.
Oh,
I'm like,
Christ.
Well, that's interesting. And he's just like a black dude in his mid-50s named Randy. Come in here with some clippers, and I'm just like, this is going to be the most interesting haircut I've ever had.
Sounds like a good time, man. What hospital was this? If I need to...
Memorial Central, actually.
In the Springs?
Yeah, in the Springs.
I used to work there, man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was a patient rep there, and it was the only job that made me go completely insane. We took complaints. It's a great hospital, but unfortunately, it's the hospital that gets the worst rap because they're downtown, so they get a lot of the drifters and the
drifters and the crazies.
Yeah.
No, trust me, I know, man. I actually work in a pharmacy, and we get all kinds of crazies. Because everybody's willing to freaking go nuts over their meds, and deservedly so. But
yep,
a lot of the stuff they go crazy about is either A, out of our control, or B, it's not actually a problem. You should give us a couple minutes.
I thought you were in Denver, man. Otherwise, I would have driven to your house.
No, I was in Denver for a while. I was out of Aurora for a couple of years, but now I've been back in the Springs for 2-3 years now. Dude, I live across the street from the venue.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, I could walk to it. I might walk to it Saturday, see what happens.
Dude, you gotta be there, man. Come up to the booth. I'll play your fucking theme music, just cause.
Nice.
No, I make it a
point. Oh, wow, we killed Vanity Inc., so I gotta find new freaking theme music if I'm coming back. Shoot. Either that or bust out some Faint.
Dude, I'll play it, man. All I know is that I feel bad because I fucked up your music twice before. And I'm so sorry. But then,
was it twice?
It was twice.
It was one time, but
it was twice.
I think we came out to Logan Austin? Yeah, Logan Austin's music, I think, one time.
Yeah, that was my bad. I apologize. I haven't done that in a while. But the other thing was, when I finally got your music right, I played I like the song, but I've never listened to it. But when I really I found it, bought it on iTunes, download it. I'm all excited. I'm actually not going to fuck your music up. And I play the raunchiest fucking.
You played the unedited version?
The unedited. I had no idea. I had no idea. And then, like,
that's
Randy's
my bad
looking
for
at
not
me
mentioning
like,
it. Yeah, that song's raunchy, man.
Randy's looking at me like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I don't listen to fucking Christina Aguilera. And then, so the only version I could find for the last 4 times I played your music was like the Bush League fucking edited version, and it just sounds like shit.
Hey, as long as you can dance to it, man. As long as I can dance, we're good.
Oh, but I love that Christina, man. She's one of the few brown girls I've ever gotten down to. I mean, being brown...
She's no Pink, but she's alright.
Yeah. Oh, god damn it. We're on the same level. I love it.
Oh, yeah, man. We haven't even started talking about comic books yet. I'll blow you away on that. I'm a DC guy, born and bred. Shoot.
Are you reading Teen Titans right now?
I have not actually read Teen Titans. Currently, I'm actually working through the last issue of Detective, which was 1027, the big 1,000 issue anniversary of Batman's first appearance. Things like 144 pages. Ridiculous.
It was that's like 8 months old, man. You're catching up.
That was last month, homie.
No,
that one was last month. You're probably thinking of the 1,000.
I'm thinking of 1,000.
This is 1,027.
All right, so I'm behind on Detective, but I'm 100% on Batwoman,
nice,
Batman, Teen Titans, Flash. There was a new Swamp Thing that came out today that devoured. It was this great little graphic novel.
Oh, nice. Okay.
God, Teen Titans is the shit. I mean, it is hands down my favorite fucking DC book right now. I like it more than the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey Black Label. I like it more than the 3 Jokers that's going on right now. I like it more.
I don't know, man. I think 3 Jokers is pretty good. Shoot, I'm a fan.
How do you feel?
Very interesting.
Oh, are you up on 2 yet? Did you read 2 yet?
Yeah, I did read 2.
Okay, so a lot of people ask me questions like randomly throughout the day, like, you know, how do you feel about this, or what do you think about the Joker's origin? And my explanation for 3 Jokers was it's not canon, but that doesn't matter because Joker's never going to have a canon.
No, they kill it.
Origin.
It'd kill his gimmick.
Yeah, the only thing, the least bit close to a canon origin was the Killing Joke.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was just like Alan Moore did the scaffolding, and then everyone else can just build off of it.
Yeah.
How did you feel going into 3 Jokers?
I was interested just because it'd been like, I think they'd announced that, 4 or 5 years ago, I feel like.
It's been a while.
They announced it at the beginning of Doomsday Clock, if I remember.
Yeah, so that...
No, it was a Justice League, actually, where they started it because the Batman sat in the Mobius chair.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. I was interested because, so a lot of the Batman Elseworld stories are kind of hit and miss. Like, I love White Knight.
Oh, my
I think
God,
White Knight is amazing.
Oh, dude, I've got all the McFarlane figures, dude. Like...
Oh, nice.
Oh, dude, like, I have not... Dude, you're making me fucking so happy right now. When McFarlane announced he was doing the DC multiverse, I was like, bring it on. Let's see what you got. And I was like, okay, I'm a little kid again, and here to take my money. The Devastator, I had to have the Devastator. Right,
oh, yeah. Now, Devastator was, you're thinking of Metal.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, that was Metal, because I'm talking about White Knight, where, like, Joker becomes sane.
Right, but I've got those figures too. Okay,
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, I've got those figures too. The first one I did buy was that beautiful Superman with that perfect stand for him. He poses perfectly. I got the Batman that laughs. I'm deviating. I'm deviating because I'm trying to pull up 3 Jokers so we can talk about it. All right, I got it. So. Jeff Johns, legend.
Nice.
God, especially after Doomsday Clock, man. Did you read Doomsday Clock?
I did. I actually wasn't a fan of Doomsday Clock. I think it was kind of hard to follow the story. I felt like it was just kind of all over the place. Like you wouldn't see characters that were like major characters for 2 or 3 issues, and like that one, like it ended well, but like it didn't like it. I mean, that and the fact that it took like 2 years for it all to come out just kind of killed it for me.
Almost 3. I've been wanting to have this conversation for a while because I was so invested and wanted to like everything that happened in Doomsday Clock, especially after reading all those really shitty Watchmen, before Watchmen books.
I never got around to those freaking. I was always meant to, just never got around to it.
Like where I'm fanboying out on Doomsday Clock, I was like hardcore critic of those ones. So I can't tell you whether to read them or not. But hopefully you find a good one. I did dig the comedian story. That one had some salvaging points because it's the comedian and digging into such a complex character.
Yeah, he was. He ended up being just a nut job by the end, just because everything he'd been through. Shoot.
When it comes to Three Jokers, though, I think like the main backbone of this is fear.
Mm-hmm.
The fear of like in part 2. So we're talking about issue 2. He's daydreaming about the family he has enslaved that is forced to make him dinner, and they're eating octopus because it's a joke. But the rest of it, I feel everything is boiling down to the fear of losing control of Jason. We're fear of losing control of walking the line as Batwoman, who is walking the line between Batman and Red Hood. We're talking about what Jason is going through, putting the bullet in Joker's head that may or may not have been the one that beat him to death.
Yeah.
The fear that there's 3 actual Jokers and this might actually be happening. Do you find fear to be a good wavelength to function on when you're reading comic books? Does it put you in the right space of mind, or does it just make you more uneasy?
I think it really depends on the story. Like, DC's doing a lot of stuff with Black Label, which is, definitely kind of fear-oriented. Another one I didn't care for was Batman Damned. It was like, it's all right.
I hated it.
But I'm a huge Constantine fan, because I loved the TV show that he put out for that one season with Matt Ryan.
It's one of the best.
I guess he's on Legends now, but
he's on Legends, and one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life. Johnny is one of the best things that ever happened in my life. The latest. What was the title of the latest one? Did you read the Black Label? Constantine? I
did. It was solid. I remember. I don't recall off the top of my head, but I remember it was really a really good book. Cause I'd kind of the Black Label, kind of maybe this is just too stupid. But that one definitely got me reinvested in it.
Okay, I at first when I was reading it, I was like, okay, great. We're in the same perspective. A new writer always drops us off when it comes to Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new bad guy, fucked up some random person. You don't know why they got fucked up. And then all of a sudden, some strangers are getting brought into something from the past that Johnny is trying to make up for.
Mm-hmm.
Hate that shit. I'm tired of it. It's always Johnny's making up for something. But this time, the drowned kid that comes back and is like worse than a pestilence of an evil demon and infecting everyone, just toying with everyone. God, that got me on the edge, man. Oh, I loved it.
Yeah. No, the latest set of Constantine books, the ones that are, I think, Sandman oriented or something like that, the Sandman universe, those ones have been freaking amazing.
Yeah, for the past year, all the new ones have been good. You're not.
Yeah, they did that whole thing with the mermaid. I don't know if you got that far yet. I think it was issue 7 or something like that.
Dude, I haven't missed an issue of John Constantine in probably 20
years. Yeah, but when they did the thing with the mermaid where she fell in love with the fisherman, and then at the end of it you find out that she got pregnant by him, and they ended up Constantine was wheeling her out because she had sacrificed herself so that he could cut her up to sell her meat.
Oh man!
That last image of her with her tail just gone, nothing but bones, was like, dude. I don't get invested in comic books to that level, but I did right then. And then the next issue, the babies are born and they end up eating the guy.
Oh, dude, that was amazing.
Yeah, I was just like, dude, screw you. You got what you deserved, homie.
The way they dropped us into the new issues from the beginning, maybe 9 months ago, where there's that dude in London that is doing, I can't remember the specific name of magic, where you're divining the future, reading entrails.
Yeah, I don't recall it either, but yeah, I got what you're saying.
And it was just that trapped angel just punishing people in a cycle, and then you introduce challenging characters like the kid that doesn't talk.
Yeah.
He was my favorite one.
Mm-hmm. Like they did the whole little thing with him, like right around issue 4, if I remember correctly.
Yes, exactly. He was the best part of it, and it's almost as if that Johnny has become, and I refer to him as Johnny because I feel like I dream about him often. And I'm not kidding. I dream about him often.
Gotcha.
That he's peripheral to the stories now. Like he's more of a crypt keeper type guy that has a little bit more involvement than just telling the story of something really shitty and really sorrowful. He's got a little bit of involvement, but everything else is everyone else's story, and I'm really digging that because I feel like after Garth Ennis, it was kind of hard to follow that story.
Yeah. No, I got into Constantine during the New 52, and it was cool, but it was just kind of like another comic book. But this latest, like I said, the Dark Sandman run has just been like you can't put them down. Like those are some of my favorite comics to read right now. Just because, like, unlike a lot of the guys, like DC, DC, you get your stories, and the good guy's gonna win, and this and that. But like with Constantine, you're never quite sure.
No,
and you're never quite sure if he's gonna be the hero or not. And that's just amazingly interesting. Because like at the end of the day, is he gonna do it because it's the right thing to do, or is he gonna not do it because it's his own self-interest? You're never quite sure.
Never at all. And I'm liking how they're taking it right now. God, one of the best moments of my life, I was at the Colorado Springs flea market on Platte. You know that one?
Yeah, I've been there a few times.
Well, okay, so there's this one. Okay, so you know how there's like that big area where that dude's always like, there's always on Sunday, there's a guy like you can go buy a Corona, there's a eating area and get a hot dog and stuff. But to the east of that, there's always this lady that has like a shitload of DVDs and Blu-rays.
Okay.
Well, she had all these boxes of comics, and I took my mom. I used to take my mom there all the time, but like we can't go all the time anymore. And she had all these comics. I'm like, okay, bullshit. Hellblazer number 19. No, I know. Number 9, number 10, number 11, number 12. Oh my god. All the way to 120. I paid $20 for issues Hellblazer 9 through 120.
Holy shit, that's nice, man. You couldn't beat that at all, shit.
Dude, like I couldn't believe it happened to me. Like it was meant for me. And like I had like $5 of cash. I looked at my mom and like, I need $50. she's like, you haven't even made an offer yet. I just need $50. Like I'll pay you back as soon as we leave and get an ATM. And it was like 25 cents a comic, and I was like, hey, it's 25 cents a comic, but how much for these? Like, I didn't show it, like, what, I just showed the pile. And I was like, I'll give you $20 straight up right now for all of these. She's like, okay.
Heck yeah, man, that's phenomenal. Yeah, I was putting those together in the trade paperbacks for a while.
I got lucky.
I've got like the first 3 or 4 so far.
Have you watched The Boys?
I have not. I've been meaning to. That's actually next on my list. I just finished Doom Patrol season 1, and I'm working my way through Daredevil season 3 right now.
Ooh, man. All right, so you're in some good shit right now, man.
Yeah, dude, Daredevils. I love Daredevil. I've been collecting that for like the last year or 2, and it's just solid.
Wait, you've been reading Daredevil recently?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, please, God, let's do this. Okay, so a year and a half ago, Chip Zdarsky took over, and it was gritty, sumbitch, kick ass. The cop. Oh yeah. The cop. The reveal of Typhoid Mary. How the fuck did we not see that coming?
Dude, yeah, it was freaking. I think it was the last issue beforehand where her and Kingpin meet up in the church.
Oh, dude, when they had that tete-a-tete, man, and like, yeah, we'll catch you later. All right, we're on our leash now, but I guess we're gonna do something together.
And being the mayor now, it's just like, dude, like that whole storyline with the rich family that just is bigger than the Kingpin.
Oh, dude.
I was like, this could, when he brutalized the dude in the bathroom for insulting him.
First off, weren't you feeling the same thing? Oh, all of a sudden there's someone bigger than the Kingpin. He's mayor. Wait a minute, what's going on? And then he reacted the same way I probably would have. Like, you know what? Fuck you, dude. I'm gonna beat you to death in a fucking bathroom.
Well, things you didn't know, because the whole time here, he's over here like trying to keep calm because this isn't the situation he's used to.
Oh,
like,
God.
you actually kind of felt bad for him because here are these, equally rich people, and they're just like looking down on him.
The way they made fun of him.
Like, no matter what, we've all been there. We've all felt like we're not. Yeah, we've all been there, man. We're freaking, you just don't feel like you're good enough to be around the people you're around. And then, like, Wilson Fisk, of all people, just sitting there and, he's got dirty money, so he's not as good as everybody else. And they just they bullied him. And, nobody bullies the Kingpin.
How uncomfortable did that make you, and how
mad
did it make you?
I felt bad for him. How do you feel bad for the Kingpin?
Yeah.
And then, just seeing him rage out and just beat that guy to death in the bathroom. And then he just goes back to being him. Like, it was like a wake-up call for him almost. Like, fuck you, I'm still the Kingpin of crime.
Agreed.
Just because I'm the mayor doesn't mean, just because who I am now doesn't mean I don't remember who I was back then.
And I'm going to make a mess in your bathroom, and I'm going to call my spin doctor. And as a writer, because me and my best friend that do the comics issues, we're working on 2 comics together. And the reason we started this was to focus on the writing aspect. And when we got into wrestling, when I started doing the wrestling podcast, was to focus on it as a writer, because wrestling and comics go hand in hand. But this Daredevil run with Chip Zdarsky needs to be studied. I think it's better than Frank Miller's run.
Oh, wow. That's some high praise right there.
I think because every character matters. Okay, so just to hammer this point home. The spin doctor, the one he called to clean up this mess in this bathroom, that guy is powerful.
Yeah.
When the big reveal after the big melee in Hell's Kitchen, when it's revealed that the mob, the chick that's running the mob, the older lady, sacrificed her son. She knew he was gonna fuck up, wanted the owl to murder him, so the owl could get incarcerated and busted. So that, like, wow, that was the big thing for me. That
was another huge one. Like, that whole thing, the whole fact that Matt Murdock is sleeping with that dude's wife.
Oh,
like,
dude.
And I'm Catholic myself.
Yeah.
And like he's a strong Catholic. Like, that's why he does this.
Exactly.
And then at the end of the day, we're all weak. We're all flesh and blood, and like it's different when your heroes fall.
Especially when they make mistakes.
That's kind of one of the things I love about it is, like, dude, freaking, we're all human. You're always like, superheroes need to hold themselves to a higher standard, star athletes, professional wrestlers, whatever, people in, like, the public eye need to hold themselves to a higher standard. And, sometimes that just doesn't happen. It's really interesting when it does.
Mistakes are made, and I like the fact, because we've had so many different stories where Daredevil is redeeming himself and on trial, or leading the hand after Shadowland or during Shadowland, and I've never seen such great character development. I like, there were so many things that happened that were like a trick. Like, oh wow, Elektra's back. Oh, they're making love. Everything's gonna be great. No, fuck you. You forgot. Like, the writing is so good, you forgot Elektra's a piece of shit, and he was using him the whole time. How did you not see that coming? The tete-a-tete with him and Foggy, or you remember when the DA made him take his mask off?
Yeah.
Old guy knocking him a good one.
Yeah.
Point a drink, get the fuck out.
Yeah. Freaking, I mean, this has just been, like you said, this has just been an incredible run. Because you never know. Like I said, that the cop teaming up with him a little bit, and then him and Wilson Fisk teaming up to take back the city, and then as soon as he's done, Fisk goes back to being freaking Fisk, and he's just like, arrest that man. He's a criminal.
I love how they brought in the D-listers. Stilt Man? Okay, fuck it. Let's have some fun. Yeah. But Typhoid Mary, man, I think Zdarsky need to do like a 4-issue side story on this of like how Fisk found her, revamped her, cured her, blocked something in her head until like when things snapped, and then when I can't emphasize it enough. I've never felt more stupid that I didn't see something coming.
Yeah, no, see that's the thing. Like, I'm not too familiar with Daredevil's villains because I didn't start reading it till like this last year and a half, and I just got into it because of the TV show. And freaking, I was just like, it's freaking phenomenal. So like, I think I need to go back and get some of the older stuff, kind of pick up some trades and whatnot.
On a Daredevil level comparison, have you seen the fan-made film Dirty Laundry about the Punisher?
I have not, no. I haven't even heard of it.
Have you seen the fan-made film about 5 years ago that was had James Van Der Beek about the Power Rangers?
I think I heard of that one, but I never saw it.
Okay, so this guy named Ari Shankar made all these fan films. Like, he actually is like a like production designer or something like that. He was big on the Carl Urban Judge Dredd movie, and he's big on the Castlevania, like a major player in the Castlevania cartoons that have been coming out for the past 5-6 years. But he did a fan-made film, like they call it a fan-made film, but it came out in 2012. I want to say it had to come out like. I just started waiting at Crabtown, so it had been May of 2012, and it's I want to say 19 minutes long, and it is starring Thomas Jane as the Punisher.
Oh, wow, okay.
A small cast and crew, but it's called Dirty Laundry because the Punisher, Thomas Jane, is like, it starts out like this is full-fledged Punisher Max. Wakes up in his van. He's got to do some laundry. He throws some shit in the laundry, goes outside and sees these people, these gangsters, fucking with this kid whose big brother owes them money, but he's like obviously straight laced. He's probably 9 years old, and they're fucking with him, and he's still not doing anything. He goes across the street and to buy a Yoo-Hoo at this liquor store, and Ron Perlman is the ex-military vet in a wheelchair that says, "Hey, do you know what I'm talking about yet?"
I haven't seen this, but I'm definitely interested.
So I'm going to stop right there. Mindfielders, if you haven't seen it, it's called Dirty Laundry. It's by Adi Shankar, and it's in black and white, and I got to warn you, it is a hard NC-17. There's rape.
Nice.
There's rape. There is brutal murder in a span of like 19 minutes. He did a second one called Truth in Journalism, which is impossible to find unless you find the right torrent. That is a fan-made film, but a perfectly true to comic form and comic pages retelling of did you ever watch True Blood?
Yeah, I saw like the first 4 seasons or so.
Sookie's brother plays Eddie Brock, and he hires this filmmaker group to follow him while he solves crimes. But he keeps disappearing every now and then. They see this thing jumping, but it's true to the McFarlane, to the actual Michelin and McFarlane storyline. Sin Eater fucked his life up. Spider-Man fucked his life up. There's the church. We reference these people. It's an homage to a French film. I can't remember the name, but it's True Blue. Eddie Brock, McFarlane, Michelin. Then he did the Power Rangers film back in, I want to say 2016, maybe 15, and the only reason I bring this up is because, like, God, you're blowing my mind with how, like, I'm gonna have to have you on the show all the time talking about comics.
I'm down, shoot.
I
ain't got nothing else to do these days, so.
You got that busted ticket, baby. We got to get that working.
Exactly, shoot.
And before, just to end this little bit here, is that he did a Power Rangers film starring James Van Der Beek. There was like a porn star. It was basically the idea of what happened to the Power Rangers afterwards. They were 14, 15 years old and thrown into an intergalactic war they had no business fighting. And
it's an interesting concept, shoot.
And where they would be in 10, 15 years, and it is the Red Ranger has betrayed the Rangers, and he's got Kimberly. And he's torturing her, trying to find out where Jason is, where the Green Ranger is.
Okay.
And they even throw back to Vulcan Skull and everything.
Nice.
But it is a hard R. And I'll send you the links a second after we're finished here, because I can't tell everyone how bootleg and stuff works, but it's worth it. Adi Shankar. What else are you reading?
Oh, dude, I get a bunch of stuff right now. Like, reading Flash, reading Batman and the Outsiders, Batman Detective, Nightwing. I like Batman, what can I say? Yeah, Constantine, Three Jokers, Terrifics.
Terrifics is my second favorite, by the way. There's nothing about that is wrong or bad. Everything is perfect.
Yeah, it's just fun.
It's so Plastic Man as the comic relief, but he's not silly.
Yeah. Dude, did you Deceased? Have you ever read Deceased yet?
Yes, and I read
Dude, when they come out, when you realize that thing of lava is Plastic Man.
Dude, I was not happy about that, because I've been reading Deceased against my will, because I love zombie stuff, but sometimes at the same time I hate it, and I've hated everything until that reveal.
Dude, I've enjoyed it a lot. I think it's like the first Marvel Zombies was great, but like everything afterwards was just garbage.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up, because they are doing a newer one. Issue 3 came out yesterday, and it is a superior Marvel Zombies, because they're not really zombies. It is, imagine like telling Marvel Zombies after, like, okay, so zombies are breaking out. Peter Parker is entrusted by the Invisible Woman, by Sue Storm, take care of Franklin, take care of Valeria, and get the fuck out of here. And then you see that little bit of a flash, and then it's 3 years later.
Oh, wow, okay.
Franklin has not aged a day. He's been bitten, but he hasn't aged a day, and his powers are gone, because he's an Omega level mutant.
Yeah.
And they've got Forge with them, and his main gun is the head of Cyclops.
Holy shit.
And it's basically a Walking Dead situation. Well, they start out like it's a Walking Dead situation. Like, they're trying to find, go to place to place, stay safe, stay away from, walkers. And
yeah.
They end up in Westchester. And we end up with Zombie Beast. But I'm not going to ruin it for you, because I really think you're going to love it. I'm going to review it on the next issue we do for the comics thing, so don't listen to that until you read it. But it is... I hated every Marvel Zombies except the original one. I mean, Arthur Saddam usually does, like, the covers and stuff, but...
yeah, the covers were sick. Love the covers.
Yeah. First Marvel Zombies, loved it. The last time I liked Marvel Zombies was in the revamped Old Man Logan during Secret War, when Logan was fighting his way through all those Old Man Logan was fighting his way through all those different battle worlds to get to Doctor Doom.
Oh, okay.
I think you would really like it. Issue 3 came out on Wednesday.
I might have to give that a look next time out my shop. Shoot.
What's your shop?
I use Ed's actually up on Powers.
The one by the old abandoned
Kmart.
Kmart. Yeah. I like that place a lot. I've been slowly rebuying holes in my Spawn collection.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big Spawn fan. Big Spawn fans, like, fucking not even the word for it, man. Like,
kind of obsessed. I gotcha.
I've been obsessed since, like, it came out, man. It's one of the few things I can legit say I'm OG Spawn.
Hey, man, I can't say nothing. I've got the movie, so.
Oh, dude, Michael, dude, I saw a picture the other day on yesterday, actually, where someone posted a picture of when Raphael was trying to get Kino to get into the Foot Clan.
Mm-hmm.
Someone posted a still of it. One of the dudes trying to get in the Foot Clan, Michael J. White.
That doesn't surprise me at all, but that's hilarious. I'm going to look that up now. I've got all three of those plus TMNT.
Oh, dude, you're talking about the
cartoon one?
So good. The CGI one. That one.
Yeah.
That one was superior.
Yeah, dude, I used to be a huge Turtles fan back in the day. I remember, like, wanting to go to the concerts and whatnot.
Oh, dude, I had the Pizza Hut video. Remember you got the Pizza Hut video and the tape? How bad did it fuck you up as an OG TMNT guy when it starts the movie out and Leo is gone?
Yeah. That I was like, geez.
I mean, I've had heartbreaks before, but God, tell me if I'm keeping you up too late, man, because I can keep going.
You're good, dude. You're good. I don't mind at all. Freaking, like I said, I ain't got nothing to do tomorrow, so.
Fucking Leo is gone. And then as a trainer, and I want you to think about this. As a trainer, you've sent your highest, the person you're most proud of, your Leonardo, out into the wild to fail. I mean, like, because remember, Leo couldn't come back until he learned his lesson. But he didn't realize what the lesson was until he realized that, like, halfway or 3/4 into it, the lesson was that Splinter wanted him to learn how to fail. But at the same time, though, how bad did Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo have to suffer and not be able to fight crime?
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely, I can see that. I can see that making sense with wrestling, though, dude. Because a lot of, one of the, quote unquote problems in Colorado is, nobody knows we're here. Like a lot, like the big league guys, they don't, if you want to go and get a shot out there, a lot of the old saying is that you need to go where the work is.
Right.
You need to go to where they can see you. And that's bigger companies, and we don't have, anything on that level in Colorado or really anywhere around here. So, I mean, like, I could definitely see doing it. Cause, like, I remember when Sam Udell left to go to WWE, or he was super new, but freaking guy looked like he was freaking chiseled out of stone, and good looking athletic kid, freaking. And even then, you never know, man. Like you figured a guy like Sammy would have been freaking, had it made,
right?
And it did for whatever reason. Like, I don't think I've ever actually asked him about it, but for whatever reason, it just didn't work out between him and the company.
Can you ask a bro why? And if you were,
you could. It just kind of, I just never, like me, like we're good, we're friends, but like I never really wanted to, cross that line, I guess, because we're not super close.
It seems like it would be one of those conversations. Did you read Old Man Logan?
I did.
Remember when like an issue, like, think about like 10, when Hawkeye and him are sitting at that bar and said, "What the fuck happened to the X-Men?" and Wolverine puts his head down and says, "I'll fucking tell you." I'd imagine it'd be like that sort of fucking conversation.
Yeah. I could definitely, I probably could have asked, and he probably would have told me, but, I never really felt like it was my business.
No, agreed.
And then you look at him now, he freaking, he moved out east and working pretty solidly with Ring of Honor right now, and good for him, dude. Like the guy bust his hump, and he's a good dude, Well, I'm not talking about getting a scoop like a reporter. I'm just talking about more about something like getting the story so you know how to teach other people to not make the same mistakes. And thank God he's succeeding and blossoming from this, because honestly, in my opinion, I don't feel like anyone's going to... I feel like WWE is Disneyland. Okay. And everything else is the best of the best. We got AEW, we got Ring of Honor, we got New Japan, we got Impact, we've got Dragon's Gate, we've got Chikara. Well, maybe we still have Chikara, depending. I have no. Last I heard, we didn't anymore, but I don't know. But even then, it's one of the ones that just came in our mouth that I find more. Or WXW out of Germany, or Progress out of London. God, like the only reason I still have my WWE subscription is because they put all the Progress on there. Nice. See, I'm an old school '90s WCW fan myself. Back when like Vader was on top and Rick Rude and stunning Steve Austin. That's my jam. That's my go-to. One of my best friends has been slowly downloading all of the year by year from like, I'm going to say 97 until 2001. I think he's up to 2000 for every WCW. Wow, that's... So, he's one of my best friends. So, go ahead and buy a good jump drive, because he'll hook it up. He's a good friend of mine. Nice. Might have to. Shoot. Do you have a PlayStation or an Xbox? I've got a PlayStation, man.
Do you know how to set up videos on PlayStation?
I don't. I have to learn that little technique.
Yeah.
I need to look a lot of stuff with technology I got to work on, which I always mean to and never get around to it.
Super easy. You get a external drive. You format it for MS FAT DOS, and then you make a one folder that says video, not videos, not plural, just video. And then anything that you put in that video, in that file, you go to media player as opposed to watching fucking like Netflix and shit. It'll take a second to load. There's your shit.
Huh.
It's
definitely be worth looking into. Shoot.
Yeah. Shit, you can do it with a little fucking jump drive, man. As long as you label it, as long as you format it MS-DOS FAT, and then one folder that says video, singular, not plural. Got to say it again. It'll play.
Nice.
But yeah, I'd be happy to introduce you guys because he's one of my best friends. He would. I think the only payment you would have to give him is to talk WCW with him.
Nice. I'm definitely down for that. Freaking, like I said, I'm all about that old school freaking early 90s.
Would you judge me for being a huge Vampiro fan?
No, dude, Vampiro was cool at the time.
I fucking love him still, man.
Dude, Vampiro was cool. I mean, like, that little feud he had with Kidman back in the day was freaking... That was, like, one of the few reasons to watch that year, if I remember correctly.
It's the only reason I like the Insane Clown Posse, man.
Nice. Yeah, they were cool then, but freaking I moved to Amarillo, and it's just full of juggalos, and it was like, dude, that's a lot.
Do you find value in the juggalos? Because I do. I'm talking about their lifestyle. Because these guys may, on paper, look like a bunch of dudes with shitty teeth because they've done a lot of meth. And hey, if you want to shit on me or anyone listening shit on me for saying that, if you want to deny that juggalos do meth, fuck you. They do. That's okay. There's a lot of reformed meth heads out there. I'm not shitting on them. But there's a lot of fun, some ICP shit, man. And, it's their own art form. I can't deny good art.
Yeah.
And whether or not I like it or not. But it's out there. And I remember when I was working at Hot Topic, man, these guys would walk in. They looked like they probably had $1 to their name. I'm like, hey, check out that Hatchet Man blanket. Is it $100? Yeah. And they just whip out a wad, man.
Nice.
Anything else that has this logo on it, but they rolled thick.
Mm-hmm.
And they
I don't
still
know, man.
thick.
I mean, it's kind of like I said. Music's like wrestling to me, man. There's different flavors of ice cream. I like everything from rock to country to whatever, depending on what's on the radio.
What's your guilty pleasure in wrestling? One like something like that. Not that you're ashamed to say, but that.
Dude, I have no shame. It's all good.
Well, I'm saying that like what a newcomer would be like. What, you like that? Like
currently, I would say Michael Nakazawa. Love Michael Nakazawa. I think he's hilarious.
Yeah, I every time I get out of the shower, I've always past 30 years of my life, I always grease up with baby lotion. But ever since he showed up, I do it a little bit more flamboyantly.
As you should. Yeah, I remember having a conversation with one of the guys down in Texas. We worked for Squared Circle Pro down there, and he was going off about the Moxley Omega hardcore match, and
that wasn't
he's been subscribing to a lot of the Jim Cornette theories of wrestling, and like I said, I actually trained this guy probably a decade ago. And he was like, "Oh my god, how garbage was that?" And I was like, "Dude, I loved it."
That's a difficult
I thought it was
conversation.
Great.
That's a difficult conversation with someone that's subscribed to Cornette.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, the guy's he's a hardcore guy. He does a lot of the hardcore stuff, and they'll do it for me personally. I'm a big believer that if you're gonna do hardcore, there should be a storyline reason for it. There should be a purpose for
100%.
that kind of anger, that kind of rage.
100%.
It's got its own psychology.
But
I remember back in the day, I did a seminar with Abyss.
Really?
And it was freaking 04, maybe 04 or 05. He came out. We used to work for this fed called Central States Wrestling out of Kansas. It was an NWA affiliate when TNA was NWA TNA. And like every month they would bring out a different dude. They'd bring out Abyss. They'd bring out Sanjay Dutt, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, Low Key, and freaking. They'd always do seminars, and I'd always do it because why not? You know, it's foolish not to take advantage of that, because even if you get like one little kernel of knowledge, that's something you didn't have in your toolbox beforehand.
Expand on that.
I went out there and I did a seminar with Abyss, and freaking he was talking about, you know, smart hardcore. And he's like, if you're going to do it, you know, set it up, use it right, you know, set up something here that they're going to forget about, and then bam, you use it. Oh, crap. And he's like, if you're, you know, and he's like, a hardcore match should not be as long as a regular match. Because if you're to that point where you're using weapons on each other, that's going to hurt more than you wrestling and using holds and whatnot in theory. You know, if you're doing a submission, it is what it is. But, you know, if you normally do a 15, 20-minute match, you should do a 10-minute hardcore match. Like, you're using all this excess stuff. And if you're going to do, like, the stupid, like, this, he called it stupid stuff. Like, he's like, if you're using, like, tubes and barbed wire and stuff, it should be a lot smaller than that. Because you're not, why would you do a 20-minute hardcore match? Doesn't make sense.
Because we got to talk about psychology, but you also got to talk about whether or not it's a throwaway match, or if it's just a hardcore match for a hardcore match. I personally am not. Death matches do not fall well on my palate.
Okay.
And that is because I'm just worried about people, because I find most death matches are done in the spirit of let's just do a death match.
Yeah.
And I remember about a death match that happened 2 years ago here in Colorado, where blood was a little bit too extreme, and we're talking about people sitting in a bar bleeding out that are gone now. That really made it look bad. And really shine a light on that. You can't just do a death match, just do a death match. Unless it's a great tradition and story builds up to it, because Primo's always builds up to a great death match.
Yeah.
But sometimes some people take it too far and make things look bad. Or it's just or I've seen death matches just do death matches, because how hard were some of those CSW, not Colorado Springs, CZW matches were to watch with Moxley. Some of those were hard to watch. It made no sense.
Definitely, like it's like you said, it's not for everybody, man. Freaking certain shows are just, you know, not going to be for certain people. I think that's, like I said, that's why I love wrestling, because there's a variety to it.
Agreed.
To where everybody should be able to find something they like in wrestling, in theory.
Primos has done a great job of building a great tradition for it, and they always do a kick-ass job, and everybody's taken care of. But at the same time, though, every now and then a hardcore match happens, and I'm not OG Lucha Underground. I got in the Lucha Underground because I was listening to Stone Cold on his podcast, interviewed Vampiro, who was talking about Lucha Underground, and I'm like, what the fuck is Lucha Underground? and it was right after his like 45-minute match with Pentagon Jr. Before he was Pentagon Dark or Sentimental, like that.
I think it's Pentagon Dark at the time.
No, he wasn't Pentagon Dark yet. That was next season.
Okay.
That was next season, but the whole build up, watching, because I downloaded them all, and watching the build up of his like story of like being trained in Japan by mystical ninjas, and then coming and then hearing the voice of his maestro, and then end up being Vampiro, and then that match, that was a death match.
Oh yeah, dude! I remember there was a freaking hell of a lot of blood in that nonsense.
Oh, like,
yeah, dude, I was a big fan of Lucha Underground, man. Freaking, like, I was a big Drago fan. Freaking Phoenix. That's where Phoenix and Pentagon got their start in the United States, and look at them now. They're freaking two of the best wrestlers in the world, and you would never have known about it unless you watched that show.
I feel like an idiot because I didn't know that Jeff Cobb was fucking Matanza, man.
Oh yeah, freaking, and he was another one, dude. Like there's this big dude, and freaking, like, I don't know if it, like, for me it wasn't like all that great because of the gimmick, like the gimmick with the high flying, but like you couldn't say it wasn't impressive to see a dude built like that doing that kind of stuff. Like same thing with Cage, but Cage made more sense because he wasn't doing like a monster gimmick.
I liked everything Cage did. God, everyone like Cage, Ivelisse, Angelico.
See, I actually didn't like Angelico. I like Angelico now. Like that now that he's doing the freaking more of the submission stuff.
Yeah.
Like I think him and Jack Evans are a good little tag team. Funnily enough, my wife hates Jack Evans with a passion. Like on a personal level.
Oh damn.
Like it's amazing the amount of hatred she has for this guy she's never met. It's hilarious.
I had a girlfriend that hated Randy Orton. Like she was like, I like that guy. And like she was in the military. And I was like, he's a military deserter. She's like, fuck him and fuck his family. And like she'd lose it on him. I want to bring up Angelico because Angelico was the guy that taught me to enjoy the little dudes. And I'm not talking about like little dudes like or not as big as the other guys, like because like we've got Ray from like since we were kids, but Angelico was like guy's from South Africa, man. He's from Joburg.
Yeah, it's weird to be like, oh my god, that dude's from South Africa.
Yeah, and I like it, and then him with Matt Cross, and then I was
him and
Ivelisse, and I was. Dude being controlled by the evil gem. What's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Mil Muertes.
That's it. Yeah. Okay.
Mil Muertes. We had Dario Cueto being the eviler Vince McMahon. We had, and I gotta say, man, I'm gonna say it flat out. I'm still a Joey Ryan fan.
Okay.
I know he's been accused of things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, I'm 100% a guilty. Innocent until proved guilty.
Yeah, I got you.
I know there's some things going on that are looking pretty bad, but I liked his character. I liked what he did. I liked the how they stole Heath Slater's fucking gimmick. Like I need this bribe. I've got child support. God, everything like I even made my mom watch Lucha Underground, man.
Oh, nice.
And because we're Mexican, man, like we love that shit. She's like, this is a novella. I'm like, yeah, with murder and guys.
Yeah, they killed everybody. Yeah. Like it was ridiculous, dude. Like they freaking like I never thought like something like it's almost like a live action comic book. Only they're murdering like it's a live action like Elseworld story where they're just killing everybody.
Completely.
Like, I never thought that kind of over the topness would work personally in wrestling, but now you see like the same kind of like the freaking specialty matches, like the boner yard match, and
dude, I
like,
happily
stuff with
played
Hardy Boys back in the day in TNA, like, and then AEW did it with the freaking Stampede match, and I'm just like, this can work on like a national level.
I happily paid $15 for that fucking Talkin' Shop of Mania. It was a couple days from my birthday, and I was like, oh, that's mine. And then, God, I can't believe they pulled it off. It was the worst pay-per-view I've ever seen in my life.
But at least it's supposed to be the worst pay-per-view.
/ best.
Yeah.
/ best. Like the fact
it's not like New Blood Rising where it was supposed to be good and it was garbage.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
At least if it's garbage, at least if it was supposed to be garbage, you're in on the joke.
Exactly. And everyone had a good time. They put people over that had been put down and buried. And of course, like one of the best things about like the fucking Good Brothers, they were Machine Gun and Luke Gallows. Like they got their dicks chopped off the second they showed up at WWE, man, and they hated it.
It's funny though because a lot of people. Like, it happens to a lot of people. AJ, Shinsuke. Like, it's just, like, Kevin Owens, dude. I was a huge Kevin Steen fan.
I'm always.
And, like, I mean, you're going to do what you're going to do, man. But it's just not the same, man. Like, Kevin Steen was, like, the baddest man in the building, no matter what building he was in.
The baddest man ever.
Yeah. And like, he was, like, the last, maybe not the last great Ring of Honor champion, because it's probably, like, Jay Lethal.
Lethal was good. Dalton was good.
Dalton I didn't get. Like, friggin', it was Cody got the belt, and then he just lost it to Dalton Castle, and it was just kind of like, I didn't really feel like the build was there.
I didn't think they needed it because Cody was already over. He didn't need the belt. They got the ring for him, and then we put it on Dalton, and Dalton's putting over some gay shit, man, and it was awesome.
Oh no, Dalton's great. I love the Dalton Castle gimmick. I love the freaking worker, dude. The guy's great.
Oh, I loved him. Even the dudes that were working with him, and I said gay isn't because that was some gay shit, but it was great.
Him and the boys, dude. Like, yeah, it was set up to freaking once if you're gonna turn him heel, he just beats up the boys. It's freaking ready made. It's just like I just didn't feel like he was like for the world title holder. I was like, dude, like, it's cool, but like, it's not like, oh, obviously this guy's the man.
I think it was the same type of wavelength when everyone hated Y2J, Chris Jericho, my hero. I have to say it every time. When he became undisputed champion.
Oh yeah, it totally was. But then again, if you want to talk about poor bastards that got their balls chopped off,
shit.
Y2J, dude, freaking, like, he redeemed himself with stuff with Michaels in like 08.
Well,
like,
he had to punch his wife in the face first,
man. but like back then, when he was freaking, like, you had Stone Cold Steve Austin, you had The Rock, you had freaking Kurt Angle and Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Really?
I've never loved hating someone more than I loved hating him. And I'm just talking about the same wavelength between Dalton and Jericho, was the fact that no one wanted it to happen, but he needed the belt. He wasn't over enough to be over without a belt. And they made it work as best they can. Dalton did drop it. Jay Lethal, man, God, so underrated, man. I can't believe that this guy isn't on the cover of a million magazines or getting interviewed all the time, because that guy, his in-ring work, the way he was training guys, I mean, like, how is he not bigger than what he's doing? And people like Tessa Blanchard's name is on more lips and tongues than Jay Lethal right now.
Because Tessa's controversial. Like, when has Jay Lethal ever done anything wrong? Like, I know he's had people say stuff here and there, but it's always been proven wrong relatively quickly.
Right.
Like, I mean, the biggest thing about, like, Tessa's good. Don't get me wrong. She's great. But she's controversial. Like, she's out there making racket. Jay Lethal doesn't make any racket.
Where do you think he's
it's like the Alberto Del Rio thing, dude. He's fucking crazy.
He's fucked, dude. I'm surprised Paige hasn't posted something like, I dodged a bullet. Because remember, she had his name tattooed on her titty and Poppy on her fucking finger and shit. Like, I'm surprised she hasn't posted something like, I dodged a bullet. And, he's going to go away for a long time. Kidnapping, rape, torture.
He did it to himself, though, man. Like, he's one of those cats that had the freaking world in the palm of his hand.
It all
like,
started.
Second generation dude, good looking dude, could wrestle. Freaking had a great gimmick. Like, he had everything freaking there.
If he had never slapped that dude walking out of the ring.
I don't know, man. I think eventually something would happen regardless.
That's a good point.
Like, dude, freaking, I'm a big believer. I mean, sometimes some people are great dudes, and some people just aren't good people.
Who do you think
it's odd, but it is what it is.
Oh, dude, did you just say Sexy Star?
No, I didn't say Sexy Star. We could talk about Sexy Star, though.
Oh, dude. Like, I thought you said Sexy Star for
garbage. Like, freaking that, she was fighting that one chick, and then she, messed up poor Rosemary, who didn't do nothing to her.
Dude, Rosemary was a fucking spectator in that fucking four-way.
Yeah.
And her almost dislocating, or like, what do you call it, pulling her fucking arm out of her socket, just skyrocketed Rosemary, who had just started the post-Courtney to Rosemary, and those vignettes were fucking genius. I still have I have an old school Rosemary shirt. The whole reason Mindfields logo is in Above Danger, or it's like something Danger font, is because that's the font on my favorite Rosemary shirt. Courtney's not here anymore. And it only skyrocketed Rosemary up to a certain point, and then...
Dude, there was a time she was the most over thing in freaking Impact.
Dude,
like, they were like a good 6 months to a year. Like, right after Abyss left and Crazy Steve had already left.
Yeah.
And freaking, there was a solid good period of time where she was literally the most over thing in that company. Like, male, female, it didn't matter. Rosemary was on fire.
Dude.
They just weren't smart enough to capitalize on it at the time.
And then Allie got over more than her. That always confused me. Demon Bunny, like, that was fun. Like, I actually bought the shirt, but Allie's doing better. But Rosemary's made out of porcelain. Like, she's always getting hurt. And God, I Holly, if you're listening, my email's on there. We'll get married immediately. Goddamn, man. Okay, so we're talking Impact. I was really worried about Impact for such a long time. It was like 2 years, so, like Dixie, fucking Jarrett, and then Corgan. And then Corgan got lost out, but then out of nowhere, fucking White Knight comes out of nowhere. Don Callis saves everything. Like, God, like, Jackal. Like, he's doing so well.
Yeah, they're doing great. They're probably the in-ring product's probably the best it's been in years. Consistently.
The storylines are great. Everything is paying off. They're taking care of their people. They did what they had to do with Joey Ryan, and I understand that. And I hope that he's not what everyone's painting him to be, because I don't want to hate the guy, man. You know.
Yeah, it's hard to. I mean, you shouldn't hate somebody you don't know, regardless. But still, man, that's some damning testimony right now.
Especially when your character is the over-sexual, touch my dick, fuck everything that moves fucking character, man. It didn't bode well.
Yeah.
What are you watching right now? Well, obviously you're probably watching a lot. What are your favorite things to watch right now?
Give me a second. Sorry about that. I had to...
No problem.
Started to get out of my lungs from the surgery.
Understood, man.
But no, wrestling-wise, I'm watching AEW a lot. I watch that every week. My son loves it. He'll watch it with us. Impact, I try to catch as often as I can. Yeah, that's kind of, like I said, I personally think it's probably the best overall in-ring product on a national stage right now, personally.
It's super glossy for their production style.
Yeah. Those are really like the big ones I watch. Like I said, I watch a lot of old school WCW pay-per-views. Like 94, like almost every show opens with Johnny B. Bad versus DDP.
Nice.
And those were good matches, dude. Like freaking for as green as DDP was, and I don't think freaking B. Bad was much further along at the time, freaking, if at all. But those guys were freaking going out there and, making each other look like gold every night. Freaking another underrated one was Vader versus Bossman. Those guys are just two big old boys just beating the crap out of each other.
Oh, Bossman.
And freaking, like, I remember freaking seeing Bossman just, like, taking Vader's punches and coming right back, and you're like,
how the hell
he might be the baddest man on the planet.
Yeah. That's some
Ray Trailer might just whoop your ass.
Yeah. Like that no-sell? Like, is he no-selling, or what the hell's happening?
No, he pulled it. He took, like, he was smart enough to take that. He took that ass whooping, but he just came back just as strong. And we were like, dude, like, you don't see stuff like that anymore. That's realistic.
Especially when people are no-selling and some shit breaks out, like Thunder Rosa and Ivelisse a month ago, man.
The thing with a lot of that stuff, though, like, not the stuff actually breaking out, but like one of my, like I said, I love AEW, but like I'm not stupid to be like, there's no problems in the show.
Right.
Like my big thing is like, dude, you'll go out there, freaking the opening match, and they'll have freaking 10 false finishes and be going crazy, and it's like, if you're doing that in your opening match, what's left for your freaking main? Like, I just want a good opening match, dude. Give me the Revival and freaking Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus for 10 minutes and make it, have it be a good match.
Frankie Kazarian and fucking Hangman was one of the best matches I've seen in a year.
Freaking I love anything with both those guys is great. Anything with Daniels is great. Like, Daniels is one of the guys I watched freaking religiously when I was freaking starting out. Like, I even used to use the angel wings as a finish back in the day.
Nice,
like,
man.
Yeah, I used to call it the Puerto Rican plunge.
Puerto Rican plunge.
Oh, yeah, I think I used that for like a good 3-4 years. Till I freaking started using the Samoan drop into the half power bomb.
one of the things that I like. Okay, so AEW does have a few flaws. The one
the thing is, everybody's going to. Every Fed has flaws.
I know, but until COVID hit, NWA Power had no flaws. I couldn't.
They were solid. I'll give you that, but they were definitely. I wouldn't say perfect, but it was like freaking. It was great.
I like the.
I loved every episode.
I loved every single. I loved there was a specific amount of crowd. There was that one set over here. You could see this one set over here, and that was it. And the old school style ring dress up, the way that they would cut promos and build towards a better story, as opposed to doing that shitty Days of Our Lives thing that you would last a year. That wasn't it. And then you've got Aldis just devoted to the company. Someone that could be making millions somewhere else, devoted to his art form. That's what.
Dude, for the life of me, I can't figure out. I don't know the story. I don't know him personally, but I'm just like, how have you not been like to a bigger company? Like, you were Impact World Champion, and that's like, I've seen some guys come down the pike that have been picked up that are like, you got that guy, but you didn't get Aldis.
Yeah.
How does that make sense? God. And like, you get, like, it was like, I remember earlier this year when everyone was all like, WWE's giving out this stupid amount of money to everybody because they got the, everything going on with all like Saudi and all that.
Yeah, don't go to
Fox
AEW.
Deal. I've never been there, so I can't tell you it's true one way or the other, but like, they were making all this big deal about these guys signing for stupid money. And like, they were signing everybody they could just so they didn't go elsewhere. And freaking bloated their roster to the point where they had freaking fired like 40% of their talent.
Shit, man. They let a lot of good people go. Heath Slater, Untapped. I know we can make fun of me for that, but I love Heath Slater.
Slater's great. The stuff he's doing on Impact right now is phenomenal.
So everything. The Good Brothers. God damn.
Well, like I said, dude, another team, one of the best freaking tag teams in the world. Like, that's kind of my problem with the Young Bucks, dude, is like they're over here talking about, the Young Bucks are the best team ever in AEW. And I'm just like, dude, they're not even the best team in your organization right now.
I think that the AEW thing fucked them up because they were the best tag team, in my opinion, before AEW came on air, because they were so hungry. And then they hit this block where they're, fucking senior Veeps, and now they're trying to put themselves over as heels, and they're what they're doing on Dynamite seems legit, but then they fuck it up on fucking BTE with this silly bullshit, and like, no, I'm not buying it no more because you're not hungry no more because you got the money, or whatever reason. I'm just throwing a reason out there. Like, there's FTR is kicking some ass, and
dude, FTR is amazing. Freaking the Lucha Brothers are easily one of the best tag teams in the world.
I think
they might be that. Personal opinion, they're probably top 1 or 2.
No, I agree, but
I those guys, Santana and Ortiz can't catch a break to save their freaking life. Like, dude, I think the freaking Best Friends have gotten like 3 or 4 tag title shots, and you're telling me Santana and Ortiz don't deserve one? Like, they came in, they were hot. They beat the Young Bucks at that pay-per-view last year. And then what have they done since?
Well,
I'm sorry, they're amazing. Those guys are stupid good.
I think they're great, but at the same time, the whole thuggin' Puerto Rican thing, or Cuban, whatever you want to call it.
I think they're both Puerto Rican, if I remember correctly, because Diamante is Cuban.
It's just one of those, like, okay, so I think the mistake that happened was they didn't bring in Conan.
Yeah, maybe, but I think, like I said, I think there's too many great tag teams. Like, it's a spoil. So, freaking, there's too many great tag teams. They're just, it's overflowing. Like, not everybody's gonna get their push. It just, it is what it is. But it's just like, I don't understand why they haven't gotten more. Like, those guys they're great. Freaking, I love those guys.
But I liked them when they were LAX. I liked it.
Oh, LAX was amazing.
I liked it when it was more thuggin', when they had their fucking Conan as their fucking drunk uncle, like, inciting fights all the fucking time and shit, like doing the street fights backstage and shit. I mean, they've done a couple, but I think they've lost a little bit of that steam being part of the inner circle, because they're part of something greater than them and they were better on their own. But at the same time, they needed, I think, because Conan did everything good to come in and they're like, nah, we don't need you. But I think Conan, because Conan was part of everything that was making everything great, like in Glow. I mean, it was Conan, it was fucking Chavo. And I think they needed that little bit to keep them a little bit more straight and narrow, as opposed to fallen into like a amorphous blob of Inner Circle and you're good just because you're an AEW. That doesn't make sense to me.
You're elite just because you're elite, not freaking. But yeah, like I said, I don't know. I think they should definitely be doing more, but it is what it is.
Well, man, we've been having a great conversation, man. We gotta kick this off, man, because I'm gonna be up till 4 a.m. talking to you.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, man. It's been good conversation, but yeah, we've been talking for 2 hours or so.
Okay, so I got a couple things to follow up with you after we go off air, but it has been an absolute pleasure, and I refuse to believe that you're done. But if you are done, I can't wait to see what you do behind the scenes to make everyone shine up, because you've only shined everyone up, and it's been an honor to have you on my show, man.
Yeah, dude, no, thanks for having me. It's like I said, that was always the goal, was to try to make wrestling better on whatever platform I was on. So hopefully, once I kind of know a little bit more and do my follow-ups, and I got to do like rehab for my heart. Once I'm done with that, I should know more, and maybe I'll come back on here and we can talk more about it, or see what's going on. There's been some offers about some stuff. We're doing like commentary and training and whatnot that I'm definitely might look into as well, regardless of my personal situation.
Right.
So, I mean, there's definitely, I'll probably be around.
Yeah, you'll be around.
You got to figure out what format that'll be in.
Well,
we can talk more about comic books if nothing else.
We all have our place in the wrestling world, man, and it's been a pleasure having the show. How do we find you online?
I'm on Facebook under Tony Morales. You can find me on Twitter under Morales Mafia, or at Morales Mafia. And you can look up Vanity Inc. matches on Facebook if you look up Vanity Inc. Or not Facebook, freaking YouTube.
That's awesome.
I don't know how you kids do all this fancy stuff. I'm an old man now.
I just refuse to subscribe to Twitch, or not Twitch. What's the other one? TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah,
you're not gonna be dancing?
No, I'm not gonna be dancing.
Oh, come on, man! You do some dancing. I've seen you dance after the shows.
Oh, I dance my ass off, but I ain't gonna fucking put it on some app. Some Chinese people can steal all my information and sell it, and who gives a shit?
Hey, dude, I was talking to this guy from Nigeria the other day. He said he'd give me $1 million. I should give him my account number, so
that
hopefully that'll pan out for me.
Dude, I fucked up. That Prince of Nigeria, I thought... Guys, this is dangerous. This is Mindfields. This transmission is over. Tony Morales, do not hang up.